Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 188. Your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with that old guy, Johnny V. 40 years, 1 week.
40, yes.
That's our timestamp. Every week here,
Just
you're just
another 40 years, 2 weeks next week. Tune in to see Johnny turn.
To turn even older. No,
that's right.
Last week, super fun episode. Thank you guys for joining us here tonight. We're going to have Paul McBeth joining us.
What?
And unfortunately, also caught wind that someone who won't be joining us, one of our regulars, Dana Vici, one of his daughters is feeling a little under the weather and not going to have Dana tonight.
Isn't that what you have a wife for? I mean,
I'm not going to.
Come on, go there.
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm just teasing
with what you're talking about. So, but
I joke.
We'll probably have Paul on actually relatively shortly. We'll kind of breeze through a few of the updates and scores and details from what we saw throughout the weekend, and then we can get into a little bit more specifics regarding Throw Down the Mountain, which I was
in attendance. What, your third straight year?
No, you're pretty off. It was my fourth time in 5 years.
Fourth time in 5 years.
I believe I was there for the second, the third, and the fourth. Last year was, of course, the fifth, but last year it conflicted with Waco.
Oh, that's correct.
And we saw both Paul McBeth and Nate Sexton go to Florida and not attend Waco. And then this year they were, of course, a week apart, so I was able to partake at being back in Florida. And I'll say it now. I had it in my head anyway. Florida and the Florida disc golf community, and I think it's like every other community in every other state around the country. Of course, they have their clubs and their cliques, and they're really impassioned people. And not everybody gets along every day perfectly, of course not. But
find a community that does.
Exactly. I've been part of and seen so many amazing disc golf communities all around the country.
We can barely hold this podcast together.
Yeah. But the Florida, speaking generically, Florida as a whole has always treated me and the Disc Golf Guy and SmashBoxx has always been very kind and very gracious and warm and welcoming, warm in a literal sense as well, but welcoming, and just some really fine individuals, some people that wanted to contribute to the efforts this weekend, someone that purchased lunch for us, for me and Jeff, and I got to speak real quickly and highly of both Jeff and Hannah. Jeff had offered to do catch camera. He was one of the 2 or 3 AMs with cams that filmed the event last year, and when I made a post, he was all over it. A couple of people tagged him. So he worked a catch camera, a camera he's never worked before in terms of my actual camera. So he got up to speed with that relatively quickly, and his girlfriend was out there on Saturday and Sunday and lugged around water and was an aide and an assistant throughout the weekend. They were amazing. Of course, Michael Barnett and his entire crew, he had multiple people out there parking and spotting. And then Dwayne and Sandy Reeder, I have to just say, and Paul will echo this, I'm guessing, could easily get put way up in the nominations right away for host of the year. Just a couple of amazing individuals. They hosted myself and Paul and Randon, and just super nice, super gracious. So thank you to all of Florida. Thank you to the entire community. It feels good to travel to the other side of the country. And so many people are just so appreciative and welcoming and warm and loving and have so many kind words. And for each and every one of you I spoke to, or if I ran off because I couldn't speak to you because I was out to go film something, but thank you, and thank you some more. It was awesome. I love the Florida disc golf community. And we were in Jacksonville last year. I was with Pat Duncan over in South Florida in December, and now being here with Mike Barnett and Sun King up in here Brooksville, all awesome communities.
And Jeff Hawkins brings up the oh-so-important question, when will the videos be out?
What videos? Good question. Round 1 is I can't say 100%. Round 1 is 100% edited. The only thing it needs, as it's sitting right here on this laptop, is commentary, which is another question that I'd like to address a little later. And then the next 2 rounds will move along much quicker. It's done. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And so we've got round 1 all done. The plan is to have them out by this weekend. So it's just a matter of how is commentary going to unfold in the next 48 to 72 hours. That's really the number 1 challenge.
All right.
We'll talk about that a little more later.
Should we do a little bit of discussion about some events that happened before we talk about Throw Down the Mountain?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So,
Alex, thank you for the... Here's $5 for early release of the videos. I appreciate
get
that.
on that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to talk about the Open at Flat Creek presented by Discraft. This was in Marble Falls, Texas. Tournament director was Neil Dambra. James Conrad crushed that final round.
He's good.
That guy shot a 1072 rated final round, 17 under par.
I don't know. Do I hear that S word coming out? Soft. You looked at me like, soft?
I wasn't sure which S word you were going with.
I know.
I knew it wasn't the bad one, but yes. And I just had to double check. I was thinking, like, well, was it 24 holes that he shot? No, it was 18 holes, par 64. He shot a 47. So,
Dang.
Sure, you might consider maybe some of the pars a little soft. He still shot 4 strokes better than Ricky Wysocki. He shot 8 strokes better than Bradley Williams. You know, he dominated that last round to basically come from behind and win. Well, actually, yes, he was behind by 1, it looked like, going into the final round. And to beat John Perry, Ricky Wysocki, Joel Freeman, whose name keeps popping up, Bradley Williams, Landon Knight, and there's like a 5-way tie for 7th with a bunch of names that everybody knows. But you know what? I don't talk about 7th place.
Ain't got time for that.
Please. So congratulations, James Conrad. Terry and I were joking before the show. We're like, you know, we have Paul on. We should get James on. And then we're like, you know what? James isn't, as we've discussed, James isn't so much of a computer guy, technology. He's kind of doing his own thing. But we said, you know what? Let's pin him down at Glass Blown because we're going to be on site there. So we're hoping to get James on for Glass Blown, and that'll be good. So let's talk about the Open Women. Taking that field down is only by 1 stroke. Katrina Allen beating Sarah Hokum, Rebecca Cox, 4th place Jessica Weiss, and 5th place Danielle Vargas. So congratulations to Katrina Allen. Her and Sarah both shot 60 on that final round. So it looked like Sarah had a little bit of a rough second round after coming out to an early lead in the first round.
Oh, okay. I remember, I think Paul and I were talking about scores maybe even Saturday night. I thought it was, did Rebecca Cox have the hot opening round then?
She was,
sort by it?
Rebecca was down by 1
Okay.
to Sarah. It was, Sarah shot a 61 opening round. Rebecca Cox shot a 62. And then it was Katrina 66. Second round, Sarah Hokum shot a 68. And Katrina shot a 62. So the 5 strokes she was down, suddenly she made up 6 strokes. And then, you know, like I said, then they both shot a 60 on the final round. So shooting pretty good disc golf. Each of them, Sarah Hokum was a little above her rating for the first round, but then just both of them slightly below their rating for the other rounds. So congratulations to all the women. Katrina Allen taking home $615.
Very cool.
The next event we're going to talk about is
before you move on to the next event.
Okay.
I think something that's worth noting, because he is tied as the highest rated player in the world, it looked like Wysocki, was it his second round or his third round where he really struggled? Didn't he shoot I think he opened with like a 1077, but then followed up with a 976 or something.
He opened
like
up with a 1065.
Okay.
And then shot a stellar 976. You don't see Ricky shoot a 3-digit round very often, but not 976. I mean, that's if you're going by numbers, that's barely open caliber. I'm going to call him out right there. I mean, 976 is you'll see Ricky dip into like the 995, 998
not too often
on occasion.
Yeah.
But to see him drop down to a 976 is something wasn't right.
Well, and that's what I would love to know. I don't know if anyone out there on the board knows. If it was it wind, was it putting, was it bad luck, was it a combination? Did he miss the first 3 holes? But that is not Ricky Wysocki like at all. And there is something to be said when I think we saw that on Saturday night. That round won't even count against his rating.
No, that's going to be dropped, hands down.
Him and Paul can shoot as low as like 1,002 or 1,009,
basically,
and have it not count against their rating.
I believe for both of them, I'm almost certain if it hits 3 digits, it drops.
Yeah, well, right now it does. Yeah.
So,
which is just crazy to think that. Some of these players are so excited. Sometimes people on a decent day, you and I are like 976. Okay, that's a decent round. That's some decent golf on any given day. But to know that that's one of Ricky's worst rounds recorded in years.
I think we're going to have to talk to Hannah McBeth, and she's going to start up a support group, because I see someone on the board say, I saw Ricky with a girlfriend. Maybe that's the problem. Now, Hannah, thankfully, she's no longer in that girlfriend role, but I think she heard enough about it the past few years that maybe she could start up a disc golf girlfriend support group, and they can talk about
if we want to go
all
there.
That fun stuff. Trust me, if having a girlfriend would have me shoot a 10-16 and a 10-36 round, I think my wife would even let me have one. So anyway, that's kind of the open at
okay.
Flat
Anyway,
Creek.
there's a story there. I don't know all the details.
Nor do I.
Because obviously we weren't there, but or maybe he just had a bad day, and Ricky can have a bad day once every 2 years.
Yeah.
According to his statistics.
Couple bad rolls, couple spits, anything can happen.
That's
lack of concentration. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway.
All right, and then we'll talk about the 2018 Daniel Boe Memorial, sponsored by DGA. That's out of Escondido, California. The tournament director is Mark Verocchi. Verocchi. Thank you.
Mark Verocchi famously is the gentleman that for many, many years is found swimming legally in the ponds at the MVP Open, which was previously the Vibram Open. He's the gentleman usually in the suit, out there swimming in the ponds, retrieving hundreds, if not thousands, of discs. So besides running this amazing event that everyone talks up and loves and attends and goes to, Mark is also put himself on the map very much for being an all-around great guy and for retrieving discs out at Vibram. So that's, yeah.
Not needing a Smashbox bump. We talked about this last week, that maybe just talking about it.
He needed something.
He needed something. Paul Ulibarri takes down the victory by a single stroke over Seppo. Paul taking home $1,025. He shot a 10.22, a 10.25, and final round of a 10.56, just to put a nail in the coffin. He ended up beating Seppo by 1 stroke, Sias Elmore by 1 stroke, and then Max Nichols shot a -25, and Bobby Music shot a -24. So we saw that Paul. Congratulations, Paul. We'll get him on the show soon enough. We'll do some Yuli's picks. Maybe right after Jonesboro would be kind of good. I'll make sure that kind of happens. So that was your MPO, your FPO division. Lisa Fakis takes down the field, winning $445. She shot a 934, a 947, and a 930. One round above her rating. The other two slightly below, beating Leslie Todd by a single stroke. And Kona Panis shot 5 strokes beneath Leslie Todd, followed up by Christy Moore and Melody Weibel. So we have Lisa Fakis continuing her dominance on the tour. It's fun to watch. It's fun for me to see a bunch of different names. And honestly, I love seeing Leslie Todd's name always near there up at the top. She was such a big part of disc golf when we were younger. And then she kind of, along with Cam at the time, fell off the scene, went and did their own thing. And now she's back. It's good to see.
What's also interesting to see is the split of players this weekend. Obviously, we saw a number of players go over to the Daniel Boe, as you just mentioned, some very high-profile players. You saw quite a few that stayed in Texas and played there as well. That seems where the majority of people stayed. And then, of course, heading all the way over to the East Coast and going over to Florida to play in the Throwdown the Mountain. So it was interesting to see kind of the split, knowing that next weekend is a little bit, or this upcoming weekend is a little bit of an off weekend. There's not anything major going on that everybody's got their eyes focused on. and then everyone, for the most part, will be regrouping in Jonesboro in a week and a half. So
I think everyone probably went close to where they live. They're going to go do the Easter thing next week, hopefully, and visit some family. And then after that, they will, like you said, they'll all converge at Jonesboro.
All right. Well, we will get some more details. Mike Barnett is out on the board. I know he's provided me with a few statistics and details, and we'll relay a few of those. We're also going to have a champion in just a few moments as soon as we can see him. I'm not sure he can see us just yet. Yes, in our digital green room, we've got Paul McBeth, and we'll get him on here in just a few moments. So, yeah, excited. Great weekend. Looking forward to what everyone kind of relaxing, stepping back for this upcoming weekend, and then we'll be back in Jonesboro. So, I think we're just about ready. We can go ahead and welcome him, Paul McBeth.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going, Paul?
Good. Just got back from hanging out with some friends, so now we're on puppy duty. So.
All right. Well, we'll start there. First of all, thanks. I know it was a little busy night. You said Liberty University. I think, did we just see an announcement of did people make or not make the team? Is that how that works at the disc golf collegiate level over there?
No, I think they have the funding to have everyone on the team. So
okay.
They do have tryouts. Actually, they do have tryouts, and they have cut people before.
Yeesh.
That is true. I do remember hearing that. So I think they have 3 teams this year and 8 women. So
awesome.
And then there's a little puppy right
All
there.
right. So yeah, let's
introduce us to the newest member of the family.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if he's about to go out, so he's feeling up. Harrison, hey.
All right. This is Harrison, named after Hannah's favorite actor, Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Yeah. He's about to go out, so he's like 70% potty trained.
Okay. So this weekend, you and Hannah were exchanging quite a few conversations regarding the training and this new member. Did you show up and immediately step into the fatherly role?
I think we're still 50-50 with it. You know, I saw him first, so I fell in love with him first, so it's kind of my fault. And then, while I was gone, she went and picked him up. So we kind of got to split it evenly. But she's lucky. She's got the 10 p.m. duty right now. I get the 2 and 4 a.m. So.
Well, you weren't there the first night or two, so I think that sounds about right.
Now, were both of you were you dog people growing up? Did you have them as kids? Or is this something new?
Hannah said she had all cats. She had dogs, but she didn't have any at this young. You know, she didn't have any puppies, and I didn't either. So it's pretty new for us. I had 2 dogs growing up, but they were both pretty. They're older for sure. So.
Okay.
This is new starting from potty training, you know.
And so how old and a German Shepherd, correct? And how old right now?
Yeah, he was born January 20th. So he's just over 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But full German Shepherd.
All right. And something I missed out on early, so now is as good a time as any, especially when we were just talking about Florida. Happy birthday. Ken Climo is celebrating a birthday today.
50, right?
Yeah. Happy birthday.
I'm not going to say that.
I believe I saw on Facebook it was 50. I think it's one of the big even numbers.
I don't think it's that many. Either way, it's his birthday. We know that. Paul, I'll segue right into or follow that up with. We were in Florida. We know that Kenny, of course, that's his neck of the woods in his territory. We haven't seen or really heard much from him other than being at a golf outing a few weeks ago, an actual PGA golf event. What did you hear? I heard a few rumors this weekend. What have you heard about Kenny and his health and or return or life or anything?
Honestly, not a whole lot. The little I did hear is that he played around at, I think, Cliff Stevens not too long ago and shot a 9 under.
Okay.
And then said he went the next day pain-free, after the round. So I guess that's a really big step. I don't know where he's at. I think what is it, his sciatica or something like that. That's huge to play around and not have any pain after. But I haven't heard anything other than that. Nobody would mention like, yeah, he's ready for a return or any of that. So they're pretty secretive
Yeah.
about it. But I did hear he played 1 round and shot 9 under. So
Nice. We have
that's
confirmed
positive.
from Chuck Kennedy that it is his 50th
Wow.
birthday. So
Okay.
he is.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was quite that many. I thought for some reason he was a few years younger. Then again, I guess I was also shocked to hear. I think Patrick Brown is like 49 or 50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, turning 50 this year. Yeah.
Oh, we're all getting just a little bit older. What? This is a quick sidetrack. What is the relationship like that you do or don't have with Kenny? I mean, there's clearly been a passing of the torch or a grabbing or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, you're essentially the face of Innova, at least from the male's perspective. You're the face of Innova. They've invested a lot of time and money into you, and you've done the same into them and into the game. That used to be Kenny, and obviously Kenny isn't playing. He's injured, and you know he's not the dominant player that he used to be. What's the relationship like between you and him, if any?
There was definitely more of a relationship a few years back. Since I left Florida and since he's been hurt, I really haven't heard much from Kenny or really talked to him too much. But before it was good. You know, we would play occasionally. Every time we see each other at tournaments, you know, we're super friendly and get to talk a little bit. But off the course, you know, Kenny does his thing. He likes those, you know, poker and all that other stuff that requires a lot of patience. I can't really handle all of that. But yeah, I mean, we're really friendly to each other. But other than that, there isn't really too much of a relationship right now. But I don't know if it's just because he's not playing or I don't see him around too much. You know, but I hope he's doing well, and I know he's got the little girl that's growing up fast. So
Yeah, well, and as you said, and in fact, we've reached out to Kenny sometimes about possibly joining us on the show on Tuesday nights, which is years overdue. But I think he once told me, he's like, and I won't do his try to impersonate him, but he's basically said that's kind of my standard poker night. I don't know if he specifically hosts or he goes somewhere else, but I think he said Tuesday nights is his poker night, and you know, it's I'm sure it's a gathering of the guys and all that kind of stuff, and so it doesn't work out well for us, but we'd certainly love to have him and talk to him and get some updates, and we hear these snippets. You know, you heard the same story I heard, and people kind of, you know, talk a little bit here and there, but in terms of official updates, there's not too many.
I know. Yeah, I know. Just because he's not in the disc golf world, I mean, he's still going to be super busy doing something. You know, whether it's poker, or golf, or you know his daughter. So he's keeping busy, I'm sure.
Well, and like yourself, and like I think of a Ulibarri and a Wysocki, like he's competitive with everything, no matter what he's doing, no matter where he is. You know, he's definitely got that fire and spirit in him. So anyway,
let's talk a little bit about this past weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back and say I called a couple weeks ago. I called this was gonna be the first win of the year for you.
Wow.
I know.
Wow, you really went out on a limb.
Went out on a limb. Well, a couple weeks ago, the field looked just a hair stronger with Sexton there, but I called it, so I'm going to pat myself on the back. You seem to be very happy, I'll say, with this course. You posted a couple times about how you think with a couple more par threes, it could be one of the best courses that you've played, that the Pro Tour should look at getting it. Talk a little bit about the course.
Yeah, the course is, I mean, it's incredible. I heard a lot about it, you know, years ago, but I never really took the time to drive there and go check it out because I'm like, how much of a mountain can there really be in Florida? You know, like how incredible can it really be? But until I actually went there, you know, the 300 feet is extremely big. You know, it's a big 300-foot hill. And then the fact that they dug into it quite a bit makes it, you know, just that much bigger. So it's not only that, you know, with the elevation change, the grass that they have is probably my favorite to play on in disc golf because it's consistent throughout the whole property, and the sawgrass is really fun to maneuver around. And then, you know, you got the trees with the Spanish moss. Those are always tricky because you never know where that moss is going to be hanging. So it adds another element that not used to. So there's just all sorts of things that make that course so much different than all the courses around the world.
It does also feature fire ants if you step in just the wrong Yep, I was.
The little ones too, so they're not intimidating. You just find them all over you.
Yeah, and it's instant. The second you step in one of those, they're all over you. And when you're wearing sandals, they immediately get to
Oh,
you.
Yeah, you found that. You found that out.
So I heard. Yeah, so I heard. Uh, um, I want to read a few things. Michael Barnett did clarify with me that 3,000 added cash, just shy of a $15,000 total purse, 399 players, 904 rounds were played overall, 34 attendees for the Throwdown the Mountain 6 workday to get that course ready, and it's approximately 13,000 steps to play the course. So it was a full weekend out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean 13,000 steps seems low. I mean if you're counting the hills too, so
Yeah.
those things are not small. So
Yeah, and I'll say I felt good walking up on like hole 16.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a walk. Walking over to 10, there's a little bit of walk. Rumor has it I'm a little overweight, but I also saw other people winded too that are in better shape than me. So then you know that there's actually a little bit of a workout out there. Dare I ask, do you have a favorite hole out there? People are going to see the coverage in the next couple days, but do you have a favorite hole out there?
I've been asked that, but it's hard to say that I have a favorite hole because there's probably like 7 of them that are like signature holes there.
Okay.
But the easiest way to go through it is like 3 is a really good hole that change.
Mm-hmm.
I really like. I mean, 18's an easy one, just
Yep.
off the very high hill there. 11, 13 now. 13 now is probably my. It's the prettiest looking hole. We just played to the wrong basket.
Yep. You're Paul. To clarify, Paul, you go up to hole 13, which has a new tee area this year. It's a gorgeous shot straight down a corridor, and the basket is tucked up and to the right.
Yeah.
But you see hole 14's basket 400 feet later, and it looks like you're playing to that one. And Paul wants to put an even longer pin out there and make it a par 5 and have it be 900 feet instead.
It'd be like 1,000 something feet.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard those rounds were running really quick, so let's lengthen it out. I had heard that for those that don't get the joke, 5+ hour rounds out there.
About 5.5, I'd say.
Yeah, those are some long rounds. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of rounds come in under 4 hours, if not closer to 3 hours this year. So coming out to a 5+ hour round is it's a difficult day.
Yeah. Yeah, because our second round started at 3:30 and didn't finish till 8:15.
Just about. Yeah.
2 holes in 6 flat.
Now, and let me ask you this. Obviously, the course is really challenging. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's a grueling course. You can find some legitimate trouble if you're not, hitting your fairways. What would you suggest is the best way to, I'll say, speed things up out there? Is it just overall less players in the field? Is there any other tips or suggestions or ideas you would have?
To speed it up?
Yeah, for things to move. Yeah, because we know, there's spotters out there. We know that, they've cleared a lot of stuff. Everything looks good. It's really challenging. So is there any logical way that things could be sped up out there?
I think spotters would definitely help. Like hole 3, for example, like that had such a long backup, or 2 and 3, when they shouldn't have. If there was just a spotter halfway down, because when you have someone go look or someone just like a spectator, they usually let them putt out. That kind of causes issues, and then back-to-back holes where it's blind tee shots. And a lot of the holes are blind tee shots, because you're throwing down a cliff and the tee boxes aren't immediately right there at the edge of the cliff. So spotters that know how to, guide them once they're out of, in the safe range, out of the way, to speed it up. And then people just have to, if a disc is lost, you have to do a 3-minute timer on a course like that, because that sawgrass it's impossible to find discs if you go right into one. So I think that's what I heard caused the biggest backup on day 2 was someone looked for like 10 minutes. So just obeying that rule on a course like that and being very strict about it, and it's unfortunate, but that's one of the biggest rules on a course like that, with blind tee shots and sawgrass on top of it. and then having spotters that are knowledgeable that can keep the flow going on these blind tee shots, and I think maybe 1 or 2 of the up shots. So, but that'd be about 10 spotters.
Yeah, and to be clear, Mike did have spotters out there. It's a matter of that you could always use more, which is a tall task to say, hey, somebody, do you want to come out and stand out here for 10 or 12 hours today?
No kidding.
But you're right. Having a couple more might have been able to help speed things up. It's a grueling course. It's long.
It is.
And there's a lot of play out there. And
like hole 7 needs 2 spotters on it, 1 for the tee shot and 1 for the up shot.
Yeah.
And that's just a par 4.
So one of the other things that was talked about, and you made the post, as Johnny said, about it being just, maybe a few tweaks away from being your favorite course ever, but there were a number of significant changes that took place from the last few years to this year. How did you feel about all of those?
They were all for the better. I know some of them were for flow, and it didn't seem like it really helped because there were still backups out there, but the backups weren't necessarily on those holes.
Sure.
So they really made the course flow better, and they were all better shots. They were better holes. 3 was a lot better tee shot, a little bit more challenging. 8 was a really good one. It took away the luck factor, and then you actually had to throw a skilled straight shot. 18 was supposed to be a better flow. I think it was a little bit more dangerous of a green now because you're kind of pushing that lake instead of just pitching it out down the bottom. And what other changes?
7.
7 was a good change.
Yep.
It was just a little dumb before. Now it's a challenging par 4. I only got it once. I didn't try to push it like a lot of people. And then 13 was a really good change. That tee box is really fun, but I think the basket just needs to move somewhere.
Okay.
So they were all really good changes, though.
Well, good. And we've talked about it for years. I've raved about the place. Obviously, everyone in Florida does, which is why you see such a crazy attendance. I mean, Mike has gone from 1 weekend to splitting this into 2. I don't know if you're out there, Mike, but I thought I heard you say 3 weekends. I mean, you really should just rent the place for the whole month and then set the course up for the whole month. I know it's a ton of work, but there's a lot of people that are coming from all over the country to be at this event.
Yeah, just try to get his money back in course in
greens fees. Yeah.
Greens fees. There you go.
So for everyone that doesn't know, this is private property. This is owned by a woman. There's been talks about development on this land that didn't happen. I think it's used for cow pasture and for grazing at some times right now. And so it's been deemed that it can be used for recreational. There's been price tags that have been thrown out. I know there's been comments about Florida golfers all kind of getting together and pooling money to have disc golf be able to buy it. I told Paul he should just buy it outright this weekend, just write a check.
Why not?
It should be like your Packers. Like the city should just own it.
Yeah, there you go.
Then you can sell fake stock like the Packers do, and everyone claims they own a share of the Packers. So very nice. So for those that don't know, obviously Paul won this past weekend, shooting 32 under par, taking home $1,200. Followed up by Matt Oram, 7 strokes behind him. Calvin Heimberg shot at 21, which was 9 strokes back. And then tied for 4th place was Austin Turner and Jamie Mosier. Paul, you shot 3 rounds above your rating. You're currently rated 1050, and you shot a 1066. I think these are unofficial technically, but 1058 and a 1054. So, do you feel like this weekend something clicked, or more so than you've seen in the past couple weeks, or what's been going on?
Probably most of it came from Waco. Just getting that confidence back, and then finding the putter while I was in Waco, and just bring it over down here to Florida. Just being able to put the rounds together. Putting confidence is the biggest thing. That definitely helps a round. When you can save strokes and then just gain some extra ones here and there. So putting was the biggest takeaway from this weekend, as well as I didn't really go for any of the big eagle shots. I kind of just played it smart and didn't want to get any bogeys like I have been all year. I got a bogey on 18 the first round, and that was it. And that was just an unfortunate skip and roll, I heard. So, stay away from bogeys and get the putter working. And then I can shoot 1050s consistently.
And as I'm thinking back throughout the rounds a little quickly in my head, you know, you said you missed that birdie putt, which was very makeable on 7 that first round. But overall, I can't think of too many putts where I was like, oh, yeah, he's got this. And then I was shocked that you missed it. I can't really think of any of those.
No, I didn't. I didn't have any putts where to save par or anything like that. Besides the bogey one on 18, the first round, and then there was no putts for par that I really had to, except for 16 when I tried to ace it for you.
Yeah.
For the Yeah.
Yeah. That.
But
Yep.
that save was my best. That was my hardest par putt. So, and it was like 24 feet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you. I again, just thinking, your putting was really solid throughout the entire weekend, and it's certainly worth noting. You just read off the top 4 Open competitors. Orem won this the first year the event existed. Austin Turner won it during the 4th year. You won it the 5th year, and the 6th year, and so you're looking at all those previous champions, and then the other guy that won it was Johnny McRae, who said he'll be back next year. He doesn't want to miss this one anymore. In fact, in speaking to his wife, Jen, a few weeks ago, I think she said, yeah, we may not start the tour really next year until after that event because we really want to be at that event. So, you know, you're in obviously good company in seeing our previous champions in Turner and Orem right there with you, you know, all rounding out the top few spots. No real surprise there. So, and now just to clarify, go ahead, sorry.
I said, yeah, it was a fun field this year.
And to clarify about the field, Nate Sexton was originally registered, and then you said this weekend that it was logistics and just kind of being economical. Explain kind of what you said this weekend about why we didn't see Nate.
Oh, I said he had a dad, or he had a baby. So to take the baby, you know, that 20+ hour trip, I was talking to him when we were in Waco. He's just like, it's not worth it to go all the way out there when he can run some events in Texas and stay in Texas because we're going right back for Jonesboro, so not too far. So to go all the way down there with the baby and the dog to Florida and then all the way back up to Jonesboro, it just didn't seem like the right move for him when he can do his Sexton shootouts. So I was like, yeah, do that. You know, so he just stayed back in Texas and did his thing, and we'll see him at Jonesboro, I believe.
Yeah, did he run a Sexton shootout? Is that what I know he's been running a few of them, and from what I've heard, they've pretty good turnout and good response. So
yeah, I was gonna guess he probably ran 3 or 4 since Waco would be my guess.
Yeah, well, and again, economics just makes sense. Traveling across the country with wife and baby and all that, and the RV, getting all the way across the country for that one event. Again, I think it makes perfect sense that you would maybe relax a little and stay a relatively local before going all the way and doing that across country. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but I know he wanted to go. He really liked it last year. So.
Well, and then there was conversation, and I know it's out on the board. I saw Dad's Drunk, saw him at the event, talked to him and his daughter.
Yep.
I think they got an autograph. Well, he did. I don't think, no. His daughter got an autograph. I think, Paul, you handed her a bracelet, his daughter a bracelet, before you started one of your rounds.
And he said she refuses to take it off.
Awesome.
So.
Very cool. But there was conversation, and I'm just going to throw it out there so it's in the air, and Dad's Drunk is claiming it on the board. But there was conversation from Steve Dodge as well as me talking to Mike Barnett about would this be a good fit for a pro tour stop. And with everything you said about how good the course is and with a few tweaks could be perfect, I think there's some other big challenges, namely that time I was just talking about a few minutes ago. There's some other challenges, including the signal being not so great out there for live broadcasting. But
I've said it before, if the event can, and I know Steve doesn't necessarily have the same viewpoint, if it's a great event and it can't be live, have the event anyway. I know I would rather see the Pro Tour expand that way and be live at all the events we can be at, you know, whether that's 6 or 8 or 10, but still, if there's a course or an area that could use it, make the sacrifice. That's what I've always. I think that's the smart move for the Pro Tour and disc golf in general. But
yeah, I mean, there's still the national tour too. So
Yep, a national tour could look into that and hosting it as a location. So real quickly, I want to also mention that Mike Barnett also threw out a little tease that he wants to go back and use the property to host a really serious event of similar, not quite the same magnitude, but of similar event, possibly right after the Pro Tour Championships wraps up in October. Everybody will be in Florida. Here's my question to you, Paul. Are people a little burned out? Are we going to get the top pros to stick around one more week in Florida to go play this amazing course after the national tour wraps up, the USDGC is just completed, the Pro Tour just finishes, and then 5 or 6 days later go play this amazing facility? Are our top-level pros, do they have enough gas in the tank? Will that be enough draw for them to come play?
I think it'll be hard, but I know, like, I really like it, and if I'm there and Hannah's there and we got the dog, then we'll definitely make the trip. But, I mean, it's so hard after USDGC. Like, the build-up to that event is so big and so hard. Like, even the Hall of Fame is difficult after that week. And then to put the Pro Tour after it is even more difficult. You know, you saw that last year where people just didn't care. They were like, we're in Florida, but I don't really care to play, but I'm here because it's free. You know, that's it's weird to say that, but they were there because they were basically guaranteed money. And then this one, if the people that have the gas in the tank will be there, but I don't know. It's difficult. I like going there. I like that course, so I'll make the effort. But people who haven't been there, I don't see them going out of their way to do it that late in the year. So it's I don't know. It's hard to say, but
it is. Well, and it's really tough because we know that, I mean, to get that course ready to go, to get it playable, you know, for Mike to run, whether it's a souped up B tier or an A tier or whatever the case might be that he wants to commit to, there's a lot of energy and effort. We talked about the 34 volunteers that it took to get that course ready. You know, there's a lot of that needs to happen, and it's just tough to say, all right, does anyone else still want to play more really serious top-level golf, you know, the week after all of those other things? And I'm not, you know, I'm tired for different reasons at that time of the year, but I can understand how you guys may say, you know, the whole month of October has now been more golf, and you guys just haven't been there.
It's championship season now.
Going into November now, too. Yeah.
Well, and there's guys out on the board saying, okay, what's it going to take to get you to the South Florida Open in mid-December?
Exactly.
Yeah, which I was at.
I think it'd be better if we didn't start the year until, like, almost this time. Like, this is when Vegas and Memorial should be going on. Like, I don't get why we start in February and then get 2 or 3 weeks off sometimes to go to Texas for one event, and then we spread out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then we come back to tour. You know, it doesn't feel like the real tour starts until next week.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see where traditions have crossed paths, and as other events kind of fill in the gaps, which ones are our priorities, which ones aren't. You know, how quickly should they be, you know, coming in? How fast and furious should these events be coming? And who's putting up the time, energy, and resources? So
we should be starting at the end of March, not end of February. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So I put out on Reddit that you were going to be on the show tonight, and a couple people chimed in with some questions. I figured I'm just going to ask a few of them, a couple softballs and maybe a not-so-softball one. But we'll start with your bag, and we're not much on discs. Has anything made it in your bag this year, particularly? I know, obviously, you have like a billion swirly destroyers from what I hear. I think you took everything out of the warehouse. But anything new, any putters or anything like that?
I have new putters they just released today.
So which are already sold out.
Yeah, I have some right here. I don't think I'm supposed to show it, but
yeah.
They already sold them, so. Let me show you. Let me get it. I don't know if you can actually see this.
Yeah,
no, it looks great.
I think I got the tweet that those were available, and then somebody else was like, oh yeah, like 6 minutes later they were all gone. So
I wasn't going to say anything, but I guess they released them today, so
yeah,
that's cool.
One of the questions was the rat. Has that made it into your bag?
Not yet. I actually don't even know if I have any here. I think that I had 1 or 2 in California, and I accidentally left them. I was supposed to ship the box, but didn't get to in time. So I'll be down there after like Masters Cup and stuff. So I'll be able to try it then. But I don't have any with me. Nothing. The ABRX3 is probably the newest disc in my bag. But I mean, I'm always cycling through Destroyers, T-Birds, Thunderbirds, Rock 3s. So everything's always cycling, but it's kind of the same molds except for the X3 is the only new mold this year. But I want to start trying the Rat. I'm hoping that they go maybe on a Champion plastic or something like a Luster or something a little bit firmer plastic, but we'll see in the future. Because I threw the test one, it was a little soft, but we'll see when I get the actual production one in my hand.
So maybe I'll follow that up by saying, is there any actual need in your bag? I mean, do you ever think, man, I've got this shot in front of me here at Throwdown the Mountain. I really wish I had a disc that did exactly this. Like, is there even any holes in your bag, so to speak, for you?
Not mold wise. I mean, there's wear. There's always like a Destroyer where I'm like, oh, I wish I could have thrown a Heiser and got it to flip over and then come back. But I want a Destroyer to do that. So, I wouldn't say there's certain molds that I want to do that. I think there's just certain wear I wanted, like the wear on my disc I want. So, when I left that one, I told you I left one in practice. That was one of the ones that was just getting to the point where I liked, and then I lost it. So.
And to clarify, so where we were staying over at the Readers,
yeah.
On the way to the course, I was driving on Thursday morning, whenever it was, and I'm driving to the course, and all of a sudden I see I just look off to my left, and there's a whole bunch of baskets. I'm like,
yep.
Well, I know the course isn't for another 15 or 20 minutes. What? Oh, and I'm like, oh, maybe this is Mike Barnett's new course where he's moved Sun King discs, and I was kind of confused for a second. And it was Floral City is the name of the park, or is the name of the city where it is. And that's actually a course that's been there. I think Mike Barnett was crucial in getting that up and running and making it happen. But that's a place where you stopped and actually warmed up. You, I think, and Randon probably, but that's where you stopped and warmed up so that when you got to the course 15 or 20 minutes later, you had, things are a little more congested there. There's not quite as much open space to throw some drives and to get warmed up. Do people look at you funny, or were you noticed out on the course? People are like, "What in the world is he doing here?"
Yeah, it's a mix. It's pretty funny. It's Floral City Disc Golf Course. It's really just wide open. There's not many trees there, and it's nice to have a disc golf course instead of just a park, because then you kind of just fit in and you can just throw discs in the park and not get in anyone's way because it's a course. So. There's mix, there's people like, what are you doing here? Wait, why are you here? What time do you tee off? And then there's the other people like, oh, I'm going to be watching you. What time do you tee off? So they can get there in time. And then there's people like Al Hermosillo and his group. He's like, what are you doing here? Like, this is our spot. So, there's a good mix of everyone there. And then just the people that come out and barbecue at the gazebos and stuff like that. So they were having like a little birthday party or something one day we were there.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's Floral Park, as Mike Barnett's on the board letting me know. Floral Park is the name of it, and and for you and I, coming from the Readers, it was literally on the road that we have to take anyway, so it doesn't get much better than that. It was that a fair assessment, that staying there? You're the one that graciously shared the info about possibly being able to lodge there. They're early contenders for host of the year. That's a fair statement.
I mean, they're in good position to repeat. So.
Yes. So thank you very much for letting us stay there. It was awesome. What else was out on the Reddits?
Out on the boards, and not just
when
the
do
Reddit.
we take other people's questions?
Oh, well, it was a question that was on the web board too. Has there been any movement with the DG group?
The DG group.
The DG group.
That's funny. I was asked. I don't know if it was Terry that asked me or someone else asked me earlier. I will. I'll know more in a few days. Okay. So I haven't. I mean, they don't really contact me when I'm on the road. The throwing money. But
I know.
they don't really talk to me when I'm on the road. I think it's one of those things where, like, if you're on the road, we just want to like focus on tournaments. So now that it's a week off, I'm gonna be talking to them later this week, and I'll hopefully have good news next week. I
All
don't
right.
know.
So there,
I don't- yeah.
so there
I
has
don't
been
know
some
why.
movement with it. It's just a matter of you can't say anything quite yet.
I really don't know.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
know
I was
this
just
week
going to
when I
say, do you
talk
have
to them
any
later.
idea who they're? You have no idea. They just said they want to talk to you. You don't know what company they might be coming to you with. You know none of the
or if it's
details.
or if it's just to catch up.
Just
Yeah.
to
Okay.
catch
I
up.
don't.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're not too far from here. I think they're only 2 hours or something each way. And I told them I'm here all week, so they come stop by and talk. So we'll see.
Here's a question that I was actually thinking of, and someone kind of brought it up on the board. Do you think that compared to what we've seen over the past few years, do you feel like the field has moved up to catch you, or do you think that right now your skills are not to where they were 2 years ago, and that's why you haven't quite been, you or Ricky this year haven't been quite as dominant?
I mean, I don't want to. I'm not like insulting the field or anything
Sure.
by saying that. I don't think that I'm where I was, but I'm getting closer. I mean, it still hasn't been a year since I switched my putt back, so I'm still working on that. But it's like the best it's been since I switched to straddle 2 years ago or 3 years ago or something like that. So I'm getting back to where I was, and the field, there's a lot more players now than there was that are better, 10, 20, 10, 30 range. So there's a lot more players. So instead of just having 5 people that could win it that week, now there's 25 that can win it this week. That can shoot 1050s, 1060s for the weekend, which Ricky and I, that's our average. So they have to shoot like usually 20, 30 points for every round for a weekend to win a tournament, and we just have to shoot average. So there's more players that are at that skill level than there were before, but it's hard to say that there's a whole bunch of them that are at Ricky and I's level, or where we were a few years ago. So I think we still have a pretty good head start right now. Now it's if we can improve or stay where, we still have to improve. So if we want to continue the pace that we were on.
Well, you're definitely slipping. I mean, you're what, 1050
Yeah.
now? You were what, 1056 at one point?
Yeah, it'll be hard to not fall below that 1050 mark.
I mean,
yeah.
get it together, bro.
But this weekend will definitely help, and now Jonesboro next weekend. So.
So Jonesboro, we didn't see you at last year. In fact, I think that was the weekend you were getting engaged. I think, in fact, I announced it as we opened the show during Sunday, which was probably weird to a lot of people, but I thought it was worthwhile news for sure.
Sure.
But you'll be at Jonesboro for the first time. Long, challenging, yet fair. It seemed like it was a really well-liked course. It wasn't a wildly or hugely attended event. I think that's going to change this year. This would be probably your first new course in a while. You don't visit and play too many new courses these days, do you?
Waco.
Okay, Waco.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. The Pro Tour is definitely making me go places I've never been. Yeah, Waco is new to me. Jonesboro will be new. Utah will be new. I've played the toboggan course before, but this Disc Golf Pro Tour takes me to a lot of places that I haven't played before. Growing up in California, there's so much right there in the area, but then it's such a long ways to travel to get anywhere outside of Arizona, Nevada, and California. So anywhere east is usually new for me, especially these bigger tournaments in the Midwest and whatever you call Michigan area. What is that considered?
That's all
Midwest still.
It's all the Midwest,
That's
yeah.
still Midwest? Yeah. So that area is really untouched by me. So.
Well, I mean, as it said on the board, I mean, I'm hosting the Skyline Classic in a couple of weeks, and I think you might have the weekend open. So
actually, no, that's probably Jacksonville Open. So
I think it'll probably be my event. I think is the weekend of maybe the collegiates are taking place. Will you be down at the collegiates?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Emergency run outside, puppies.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened behind me.
Uh-oh. All right. Anything else you want to share with us, Paul? I know we weren't going to keep you on too much tonight. We wanted to catch up on everything that's been happening the last few weeks, along with this recent win. But anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah, Liberty wants me to shout them out. Liberty Disc Golf Team. I was just hanging out with them before, so they're like, you better give us a shout out on here. So I look forward to going down though and watching some teams play. There's a lot of young talent there, so it's always cool to go down there for a few days. But I think we'll only be there 2 days, and then we're going down to Jacksonville because Hannah's actually going to play an event. I might sit one out for once. So
wow. And I was going to say maybe caddy duties. You had a caddy or two this weekend, didn't you?
What was that?
Did you have a caddy this weekend, right? Any shout-outs?
The first 2 days, yeah. Zach Viscardi and his fiance were down there visiting her family, so it was nice to have some friends there and from up here, some good friends down there. And then I won't be caddying for Hannah, but I'll be dog sitting. So
okay.
I'll be on the puppy.
People want to know about your hat. Is there a story, the company, the brand, the story behind it?
It's a rapper, from what I hear.
Yeah, he's a rapper, hip hop artist, or whatever you want to call him. But I went to a show when I was in California. I had a friend that works for him, and he got me and some friends some tickets to the show, and it was incredible. It was like the first hip hop rap concert I've ever been to, so it was everything that I thought it would be. It sounded just like the album, but he was right there. So he gave me some free merchandise, so I told him I'd wear it whenever I can. And it's actually comfortable, so I've been wearing it, and it's black, and it goes with everything, so it makes it real easy to just slide it right on and walk out the door.
And it's funny you speak of worrying about your matching. I think you might be one of the few guys I recognize that packs along more hats on a weekend than I typically do. You've got a different hat for every outfit. You got to be coordinated out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I take some for practice, and just I'm wearing a lot more hats these days. Now that I don't know, I'm just seem like I'm playing every weekend. It's just easier to have a hat. Yeah, I never used to. Oh, actually, that's a lie. When I was in the trailer, my whole trailer was full of hats. I just never wore them. So I've always had a bunch of hats. I just never wore them.
Yeah, well, I just saw a whole stack of them as you were packing up. So I left. I hopped on a plane. I made it to Orlando. Got out of town just in time with everything going down. You were going to drive Sunday night. How far did you end up driving before you called it a night and then finished off the rest of your journey?
I left at 9, and I drove until about 3. Yeah, I drove till 3 a.m., and then I slept in my car at a rest stop for 3 hours, and then finished the drive and got here by noon. So it turned into a 14-hour trip. Drove 11 of it right after the tournament. But
and now with you being where you are, how often do you see yourself flying out to a bunch of the events this year, and when will you be driving?
I'll be flying to all of them, I should say. Actually, all of them. I'm flying to, obviously I'm flying to Utah, the California, San Francisco, Portland, Jonesboro. What's the other one around there? Flying to, the D-Glow one, and then probably going to drive on all the East Coast ones because Hannah, I think, is going to want to try to play those. So the last one I think I'm flying to is Ledgestone, and then the rest are driving.
Glass blown, you'll probably be flying into Kansas City?
Yeah, Glass blown, yeah. So, yeah, Ledgestone's the last one I'm for sure flying to, and then the rest are probably driving on the East Coast because it's not really too far of a drive to get from here to Massachusetts or Maine or Vermont. It's like 14 hours, so not too ridiculous.
All right, well, this might be my last question. What are you doing tomorrow? You wanna join me with some commentary for some of the rounds of golf?
For Showdown the Mountain?
Yeah.
I don't think I can get a whole free hour, unfortunately, with this dog unless he's sleeping. But we're actually moving out of this apartment, so tomorrow I'll be packing a lot. So I got a lot to do.
Always an excuse by this.
Nice, polite way to brush you off.
Whatever. Now I can tell the whole world when they ask, why don't you get Paul McBeth? Well, I'll cut to this. No. I just wanted to throw it out there. I was telling everyone earlier. What's that?
Get the disc golf boy.
That I reached out to him today. We'll see where he's going to be at. But I as I continue to edit all these pieces together, I want to get commentary laid down on them so we can get them rolled out this week. Round 1, like I said, is all done except for the commentary. And I'm excited to have everything kind of roll out one day at a time and commentary is the next step, and it's a little more difficult remotely, as you know, versus if I was on the road. But I thought thought I'd at least ask you, and I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, I want to show Hannah and show our little boy some disc golf coverage. So it'll be his first tournament. So
Nice.
That he can see.
All right. Anything else from you, Johnny, before we let him go?
No, I think we're doing pretty good.
Okay. Well, Paul, congrats on this weekend. It was great seeing you, and great watching you play as well as you did. And congrats on the new member of the family. So best of luck to you and Hannah and Harrison.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night, Paul.
All right. See ya. Okay. Again, Paul McBeth. Now you're two-time and defending champion over at Throwdown the Mountain. Again, thank you to Mike Barnett, Sun King Discraft, who was the title sponsor, presenting sponsor of the event, along with Sun King. As I was thinking about it throughout the weekend, as I was making a bunch of Instagrams about, tagging Discraft, who's the presenting sponsor, and then to know that they were the presenting sponsor, I believe you said over in Texas as well.
Yes.
The amount of events that they continue, especially some of these big high-level events that you see them involved with, of course, the Ledgestone, the largest payout in history and one of the largest events of all time. And then you've seen them with the Green Mountain Championships for the last few years. And then along with like the D-Glow this year, of course, the Memorial, Throwdown the Mountain. It's amazing what they're doing and what they're putting out there to be associated and presenting these high-level events. So thank you, of course, to everyone over at Discraft and over at Sun King. That's it? That's all you got?
That's all I got. That's all we got for Paul. I mean,
no, and it was good.
It's been since I looked, and it'd been since January 10th, I think, right around there, since he had joined us last. So about, we get about every 2.5 to 3 months, we get our quarterly Paul update. And
well, he was saying how when we messaged earlier today about being on the show, he said, we're got this team thing going on and everything else, and we're really busy with a bunch of stuff. He's like, it might not be a full 3 hours. I'm like, no, we don't need the whole life update. We can just talk about a few things kind of within this quarter or so.
I like doing the 3-hour Paul one right during the off season, either right as the season ends or before the season starts. That's usually when we get the most information out of him, because for the most part, we get, this type of you talk about the event. There's not a heck of a lot changing through the season. It's not like he's, throwing a bunch of new plastic in his bag. It's what destroyer is the most beat this week. So, but it is a lot of that other stuff that I really do enjoy hearing from him. As far as the DG group, you've got, just family stuff now that he's married, puppy moving out of an apartment into the house. Those are things that we get that other. I'll say it, I was thinking this the other day. Those are a lot of things we get that a lot of other podcasts don't.
There's other podcasts?
I rumor has it there's one or two.
Please.
Last week when we had Coling on, I had listened. He was on like 3 other podcasts or 2 other podcasts, and he gave a lot of the same stuff. But then when he sits down with us, I keep thinking like him talking smack about Austin Turner made me laugh, and it's that type of personality that I think this podcast particularly brings out in a lot of our pros.
Well, when you have a 6-hour show, you're able to get more stuff.
At some point, you have to you run out of things to talk about. You start talking about other people.
I do want to thank Dad's Drunk. I want to thank your daughter, you and your daughter. There was a small backup on hole 7. I had set the camera down. I set my Disc Golf Pro Tour water bottle, and I actually hung it from a limb on the tree. And I remember thinking, don't leave this here, don't leave this here. Of course, I left it up there. And it was later on in that par 4, I think as it was ending, I turned and I'm like, oh, I left my water bottle up that darn hill. And sure enough, Dad's Drunk had grabbed it. He looked it up per my PDGA number on it. So for all of you haters out there that always say, PDGA numbers are so stupid, who cares about them? Well, in this case, he did a quick Google search, found that it was my number, and then had it ready there.
To be fair, if you'd have put Terry Miller on it, it would have saved him a Google.
I'm
just saying, I don't mind PDG numbers. I put them on things as well. But putting that as the only thing on there, people might be like, what? This idiot doesn't know his phone number?
Does it? Yeah, I'm trying to think if it says, I don't think it says PDG. I think it just says 10738, but Either way, he found it, they grabbed it, and I certainly appreciate it.
Well, thanks a lot, Dad.
I'm not sure it quite saved my life, but
it probably did.
But I do appreciate having that. And thank you to Tempercraft, who doesn't pay me to say that, but they should. Thank you to Tempercraft. They make amazing water bottles. That's for sure.
I need to go get one. I need to get one for sure.
I know a guy that could sell you one.
Sweet.
It'd be me.
I was just thinking.
It's got a Pro Tour logo from last year's. I bought a bunch of them. And if somebody needs one or would like to support me and get a sweet Tempercraft water bottle like the one I'm describing, let me know. I could. And also, I'm going to follow that up right away and say, you're going to see some stuff in the next few days, and I've been teasing it out forever, but you're going to finally see some stuff. I have some custom stamped discs that have come from the likes of MVP, from Latitude 64, Legacy, and Discraft are about to be stamped. Special stamp, Madison Walker approved. I remember showing it to her. She loved it. And that's going to be a special stamp that I'll be releasing as a little bit of a fundraiser for some of the things that I'm working on. So you'll see those. I'd like to unveil those finally this week. I've actually had some of them for a few months, and I've just been sitting on them as secrets.
It sounds silly, but I've been getting really frustrated at work because I have this really nice cup, but it's like slightly smaller than a pint glass, and I fill it with water, and then I drink the water right away, and I think I'm like, it's empty, and I have to walk. It sounds so silly. I have to walk all the way across the office, which is probably about 100 feet to the fridge where I have to sit and fill up. I want a bigger bottle, and I was thinking about going somewhere and getting one, but if I can get a nice Tempercraft one, I'm doing that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. As I'm walking around miles and miles up and down this mountain, trying to shed a few pounds, you have to walk 100 feet.
100 feet to
in
the
your
water.
Air-conditioned, climate-controlled.
To the refrigerator with the water dispenser.
Yes.
Oh, just so rough these days.
So tough for you. The struggle is real, I think they once said. Ian Warren asked, Terry, does a water bottle come with your PDGA number or mine? Actually, the ones I have specifically have a nice Disc Golf Pro Tour logo on them. But
and if they have Terry's number on them, guaranteed he drank out of it. So there might be a little extra there.
A few of my germs.
A few germs.
Daniel Reynoso with a super chat. I think Daniel said that he's drunk. Daniel, then in that case, if you're drunk and you're listening to us and you're watching and you're super chatting, your decimal is in the wrong place. Needs to move over a couple.
All right, let's talk
Appreciate it, buddy.
I'd say let's talk a little PDGA news. It's going to be a shorter podcast tonight, but
all right, bring it.
The thing I kind of made fun of a couple weeks ago, director's poll week 3, something I think you get to vote on.
I do, which I didn't, but I could. But I didn't this time.
We're seeing that another ranking system has Paul McBeth moving up 2 spots to number 1. I know.
So let's talk about how silly this poll came out in the middle of the round. I think on Friday. What day was that?
Friday, March 23rd.
Came out during the first round, right? Austin Turner, Paul McBeth were on the card I'm covering. Spoiler, I'm covering them. During the first round, and this news pops up. Jeremy Colling wins the previous weekend's tournament in a playoff, moves up
2 spots.
2 spots to 6th. Paul McBeth, who again doesn't win. Simon, who
couldn't finish the event, dropped a spot.
It's just, to me, it's funny, and it's not just about where they finish in the last weekend. I get that, but to see Jeremy Colling move up only 2 spots when he wins in a playoff, and then someone like an Eagle McMahon drop 1 spot, but he wasn't at the sport's largest stage that weekend, is just funny to me.
It is, and obviously this is a compilation of people voting and things of that nature. I don't know if it sounds really funny because we just had him on. I don't know if I would have put Paul first. You want to make the discussion that this week he should be first. You look at his round ratings, like, yeah, it feels like Paul's got his mojo back. He shot a bunch of over 1050 rated rounds. Blah 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 blah. He should be first. For this to come out on Friday and him to be first, yeesh.
Well, it's the voting from the previous weekend, as you said, but
I get it.
It is kind of funny.
Colling at 6, that I think I'm fine with that, just because he did play so poorly the first couple weeks, and honestly played kind of poorly this weekend as well.
Which this
hadn't happened yet. So anyway, next week we're going to see James Conrad go from 6 to probably 7 to 5, and Paul will stay at 1. And it's just a combination of a lot of different things. And I find it funny that Paul is the very top, and Simon is second, and Ricky is third. So there's that from the PDGA.
Can we rank tattoos? There was
No.
a conversation this weekend
No.
about disc golfers' tattoos. Austin Turner showing off his. Then there was a
Turner's
conversation
all
about
tatted up.
he's got a lot of them, and he's getting more.
I saw
Drew Gibson. That's where this
and was that on his arm right here? I couldn't tell from the picture. It looked like a picture, like a Statue of Liberty thing with flag, and he was moving it, and I think he tried to flex, but no one could tell. I wasn't sure.
Ouch.
He's small. I'm not worried about him.
Drew's gonna send you hate mail.
That's fine. It wouldn't be the first time. I like Drew. I just like giving him a hard time. He's a little tiny guy. It's funny.
Okay, I don't know if tiny is the word I'd go with. But
He's like 5'6", right?
I
Am I right there?
don't know if he's 5'6".
5'8", maybe.
He's probably 5'8". I
Okay.
feel like he's my height.
I could probably look at one of my disc golf cards and it would tell me.
Good.
We'll say 5'8".
Okay.
I'm 6'6".
Yeah.
I'll put him in my pocket.
And you only throw half as far.
Oh
as he
God,
does.
not even.
That's the funny part.
Not even, because I bet you he can push on a really good distance throw 700 feet.
Probably.
Oh yeah. Okay, I can get half of that. I can get 350. No, there's no doubt that he's a 10 times better athlete.
You could wrap your arms around him twice. Your arms are so long.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, but anyway.
So
Drew, save the hate mail.
Save the hate mail, Drew.
But send it to Attention Johnny if you send it.
John, JON at SmashBoxx.tv. I think we used to be friends on Facebook. We might not be now. There are a couple other things from the PDGA. They say there's some open spots for the 2018 AM Worlds doubles. Mount Vernon, Texas, is the first to host. The first PDG major. It says of 2018. So
yeah, that'd be the first major of this year.
So there are still some open spots. There are
still spots available. Not there's no open.
No, there's no open. Can't play open. It's an AM Worlds doubles. There are some AM spots available. And there's also an article on here about how disc golf is thriving in Zambia. Zambia, whatever you want to pronounce it.
I think it's Zambia. I don't think there's a debate.
I'm gonna go
root or rut, roof or roof, sure. Bag or bag, sure. But Zambia, it's Zambia or Zambia on that one.
Yeah, whatever. It's gonna get a little punch drunk in here, is what I think. So, there's some articles out there on the PDGA. So go out and check them out. Take a look at them. Everything other than that is over a week old, and we've probably already discussed it.
Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
Daniel.
Go ahead.
Daniel. No, it does.
Oh yeah. Daniel
Iliskas.
That looks about right.
Iliskas. Either way, super chatter, Daniel. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Much
very
love.
generous of you, Daniel.
I didn't say zombie. I said Zambia. I threw an A at the end of that there, DGN. What do you got? Anything fun from this week?
Like I said, just certainly a really good weekend in Florida. I can't say it enough. The Florida community, all of that. I do want to reiterate, this course, which used to be a course many years ago, thanks to, I think, Greg Hosfeld and a number of others, was shut down for a few years, and then Mike Barnett kind of revived the whole concept to bring back this throw down the mountain idea. And just the amount of work, I think that's what does get a little bit lost in it. People come, 400 competitors over 2 weekends, this enormous effort. You have to park cars, it's private property, you got to sign a waiver, you're trespassing if you don't do all of those things. Like it's a really serious but yet very amazing and special place to so many people. And I just want to give Mike Barnett and Sun King just a huge pat on the back yet again. His month has been, insane dealing and working this and making this event happen. He's been in a transition period from moving his store from where he was a little bit closer to the course now and having his own course set up. There's just so many things that go into making this. And me as a TD of many events of much smaller scale usually, I just hats off to him and his crew, and I know he has a huge support network and a lot of volunteers and some people he has to pay, and just so many people, all hands on deck. And it's special, and to get accolades, to have someone like Paul McBeth the day before the event and say this place is a few tweaks away from being my favorite course.
It says a lot.
It really does. And right now, in the foreseeable future, I don't see permanent cement tee pads out there because it's private property and all this other stuff just yet. And of course, tee pads can always be improved when you're talking about temp situations and getting baskets mounted and all that. But to know that this land and this course just has so much potential it's great. Like I said, it's a really special place. There's a lot of Illinois people we see down there. Al and Steve Slater, and then really crazy people like Dan Pastore from ABC Disc.
Oh, Dan was there?
Yeah, he's there every year. It's just so great, and it's a little bit of a reunion. Chris Dietzel from out in Pittsburgh was out there. I saw J. Gary Dropchow from Pittsburgh out there, and Madison Walker and Elaine King, and the women's field that was out there was tremendous.
That's a good thing. We should talk about that.
As we do that, segue to that, I did reach out to Madison, talk to her about potentially joining the show, and she is vacationing or doing some form of relaxing down in the Keys, I want to say. She said she may or may not be around tonight. I said, just enjoy your time. We'll catch up with you another time. But there was a battle, and again, I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying this.
It came down to a playoff.
It came down to a playoff, and I was out there trying to get some snippets. The way the women, with the length of the rounds, there was really no logical way for me to film all of the women's rounds and then still be able to film all of the men's rounds. So I'd go out and get a little footage and kind of try and catch up and stay in tune with what was going on. And by the third day, we saw Elaine King and Madison, I believe, tied going into the third day, with Hannah Leatherman having a one-stroke advantage. So it went Hannah, and then Elaine and Madison tied, and sitting right behind them, they had Ellen Widboom along with Courtney McCoy, all in striking distance. And I walked up on them. I saw them play 4, 5, 6 holes. I didn't really know where things were at. It was kind of tense, but kind of not. And I walked away, and I was like, okay, I'm interested to hear how that battle went out. Well, in getting the details, they ultimately, there were 3 of them. Courtney, Madison, and Elaine were tied on the 17th hole. And by the 18th hole, I think Paige, I don't know where that came from. Sorry. I'm so used to saying Paige's name when we're talking about top finishers. Madison and Elaine both ended up taking 5s, which were bogeys on hole 18. They went into a playoff. It went 1 hole where they pushed, and then ultimately Madison took her on the 2nd hole. And nice, good payout for her. I think she gets a bonus for that. And Madison Walker squeaks it out. And just tremendous battle among them for the weekend. So congrats, of course, to you, Madison. And I know we're going to have you on the show whenever you're around, which is quite often. I think we're going to see a lot more of you throughout the year. So absolutely.
Sure hope so. She's always fun to have on.
So congrats to her. And yeah, just what a battle. And it thinking that was already possibly close to maybe get their last few holes and then still catch up with the men. They were still on the course, and then to know it went into a playoff just makes it that much more, unfortunately, the timing's not there. There's already the long days that are out there, but pretty crazy. And I'd like to say that's also where I first met Madison a couple of years ago. She had came, I think she was encouraged by Steve, Mango, shout out. I think he was encouraging her to come play in the tournament. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago is where I first came across meeting her and Kobe, who was out there for the weekend, and to again reunite in such an awesome place. I love the Grand Canyon.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else talking about what happened this past particular week? Any PDGA news you need to share, or
nothing too crazy?
It was a quiet week. I think we're going to see a quiet week next week with Easter. Yep. There's not a ton of events. and then we're really going to, I mean, as Paul says, after Easter, you really get into the swing of the disc golf season, and it's going to get pretty crazy.
No, the one thing that unfortunately, I was in the midst of travel, so I did not get to catch up with, I believe Steve Dodge had interviewed and talked with on his little podcast show thing on Wednesday night, the night after our, the only podcast takes place, right after ours. But on Wednesday, I thought he caught up with Addie, who had written the article about women's coverage. And I'm genuinely interested to hear. I heard she was on the show. I know Steve had reached out to her right away. I'm interested to hear her elaborate. And I have no idea, honestly, what Steve asked her. I have no idea what she replied with. I am genuinely interested to go out and hear it all fresh for the first time, because nobody's really, I just knew she was on the show, and I knew that was kind of something that I was a little heated up about last week. So I'm going to go listen to that. And I saw that Bobby Brown over at Dynamic Disc has released some stuff, some new videos. I know they have some stuff going on. You and I were talking about, along with Bobby Brown, we were talking a little bit about some GBO thoughts and plans
last night.
That will all get tabled for later discussion and release. But things are moving forward on that front as well. So, I traveled to Florida, had a good time. That's what I can say, and I got more editing to do. And
story of your life.
Again, Jeff and Hannah, thank you guys. It was having a catch camera and having someone help out with water and walking along and spare batteries and all that other stuff is so great, especially on a location such as that. I can't say that I have much else outside of all that crazy stuff. I see, kind of a side note, the Waco footage with the great battle that took place from the Waco event. The women's footage is all up and released, of course, on my page and the Pro Tour page. So you can go out and watch it. It's getting really good response, and it's great to see that this really competitive finish, this really great round of golf, and how the Waco event wrapped up, that people were genuinely captivated, fully captivated by watching how it all unfolded, even though they knew the results. And I think that, again, speaks to when that women's footage, any women's footage, gets released, and it might be a couple days after everything else, but it's the only thing, I think that helps draw all attention and focus to it. And I think we're seeing that a little bit more, and I hope it continues to grow throughout the year as well. So I thought that was awesome to see.
Tonight in the after show, like as always, we're going to be giving away a Patreon prize this week. For the most part, almost every final Tuesday of the month, we're going to give away a similar prize. It is the Disc Member monthly giveaway. And then I know if you follow us on Facebook, you can take a look. It is, I guess you can call it the Prodigy package this particular week.
Okay.
It's a lot of P's.
A little alliteration, I think, is what I heard in 8th grade.
It's got one of their drivers in it. It's got a beanie. It has some discounts to Will Schustrick's disc golf instruction stuff. It has some stickers. You can go check it out. If you want to be eligible to win that, you can simply be a Patreon supporter of SmashBoxxTV. That's Patreon, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV at any amount, and you can be eligible to win. We don't actually have it here, because what happens is when you win, we give them your information, and they ship it out to you directly. So you don't even have to wait for Terry to get off his butt to do it. They will ship it with all their other shipments.
And good news on that. I'm a little ahead of the game.
I believe that.
The hardest part about shipping stuff out when I'm not in like an everyday shipping mode is plugging my label printer, but then sitting down and going through and sorting through everything. Today I did that. I sat down, I sorted through everything. Thanks to your clever idea last week in doing some fundraising, we had a number of prizes that were all in the spreadsheet. I went out, I filled them out. I actually printed out all the labels that I could of today. I started packaging them all up, and I just missed the post office time because I had to go to my kids' art fair tonight.
Kids.
I know. But I got to go to that, and so I'm excited that their packages are all ready, and they're going to go out tomorrow. So I'm going to be relatively caught up on any of our SmashBoxx patronage.
I'm happy to hear it. So if you want to be eligible for the prize tonight, you've got about 10 minutes to sign up for patreon.com. I want to thank everyone that's out there. We're slowly climbing up the ladder, and we're getting closer and closer to our next goal. So the next goal is going to be more or less another podcast, which I can't say I'm super excited about. That's a lot of time, but it's well worth it if we can get to it. So another monthly podcast.
Wow, that'd be super duper. Quickly, a gentleman by the name of Jason said that, hey, I might be able to help out with some drone footage of out at the canyon. I shot drone footage last year. I might be able to help you out a little bit this year. I know there's some hole changes. I'm going to go try and get those for you. He messaged me and said, yeah, I went out on Monday to get some of the new holes and to kind of wrap up the drone footage for you. Yeah, in the second hole, I ran it into a tree, and now I broke it. I was like,
been there, done that.
Been there, done that. So, Jason, it's the thought that counts. I appreciate it, but I totally understand. So, yeah. All right. I think we can wrap
this up.
This regular one up, and we can move into some after show stuff. I just got sent a message that we'll have to talk about in the after show. It's not that crazy, but we'll get to that in a moment. So, with that, I want to, again, thank the readers. I want to thank Mike Barnett over at Sun King. I want to thank Dishcraft. I want to thank all the spotters, helpers, volunteers, everyone from parking to vending to everything in between. Thank you guys so much. There was an amazing company out there that was doing tacos and quesadillas that someone generously bought us one of the days, and their food was delicious. They were out there Friday and Saturday. Just so many awesome people. Jeff, Hannah, and everyone involved. Paul, who was so graciously helpful throughout the weekend as well regarding the lodging and the whole situation. So thank you to all of those people. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, for Paul McBeth, who won Throwdown the Mountain 6. We'll see you guys in the after show. We're going to talk about a bunch of other random stuff that may or may not be disc golf related, but we'll see you there when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SmashBoxxTV podcast 188 After Show. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Johnny V and super chatter Ryan Pilcher. Thank you so much, Ryan. Johnny, so many people say, what in the world is this super chat thing I hear you talk about? You babble about it. You randomly blurt out words and names. What in the world are you talking about?
I'm talking about Super Chat.
Super
Chat. They're my favorite chatters.
They're the best ones.
Because they're
the
super.
best looking and the smartest.
Yeah. I mean, I go as far as to say the sexiest chatters.
Wow.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Super Chat is that little $sign button underneath the chat when you're watching YouTube live. When you're watching the podcast live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. Someone I had to clarify that on Reddit tonight because someone's like, 9 p.m. when? I was like, wow, how do you not know?
There's only one time zone.
Please, if you're not Central, so, and that's what that is. And what that does is that goes to us, and you get your little name pop up and all this other fun stuff, and we usually shout you out, and we thank you profusely. And it's what we used last week to raise, what was it, $240, I think, for the cancerresearch.org, Cancer Research Foundation, I think is what it was, in honor of Leroy Jenkins. So, yeah.
So, yes, that's exactly what it is. Today, I found myself briefly sidelined in a Twitch conversation or a Twitch discussion.
A
go
discussion
ahead and,
about Twitch?
Yeah, or a headline about Twitch,
Okay.
which then led to a rabbit hole, which I didn't want to let myself get into.
For the oldies out there,
Yeah, go ahead and describe.
Twitch is a live streaming platform that Amazon bought a couple of years ago, and it's dedicated. In the past, it's been dedicated mostly to gaming, but now they're expanding out. We broadcast on Twitch. We have our own Smashbox channel, which I put it out there, and I don't really check it. We're slowly getting subscribers. I think we've got probably about 24 or 3 I don't know, and now they're, like I said, they're expanding out into other things. They're doing cooking shows. They do makeup. It's really a live platform. It's not like YouTube where you can upload something, even though you can do it. Most people don't. It is mostly for people that kind of want to do live in the minute type stuff, like what we're doing on YouTube.
And more often than not, what is that platform live used for?
Gaming.
Yeah.
I would say 99% of the streams on there are some sort of game.
So,
and 98 of those right now, I think, are Fortnite.
So people log in, they start playing a video game of some sorts.
Yeah.
And then thousands of other people log on and then watch that person play a video game.
Sure.
And then there are a number of people that are making a full-time or at least a part-time and full-time salaries playing video games that other people are watching them play, and then they use their form of super chat to generate
correct
silly money.
And there are other options on Twitch as well, because I've got a couple Twitch accounts. I've got the Smashbox one. I've got a personal one, which I'm not personally a streamer, but I do follow people. And with your Amazon Prime account, you can actually subscribe to one particular channel a month, and you have to renew it every month. And it's like a free $3 or $4 to that particular person from your Amazon Prime account. So there are a handful of podcasts I listen to, and they broadcast on Twitch. So when I watch, I make sure that particular account gets my free Twitch sub. But you can also sub at specific levels. It's almost like a Patreon, but for Twitch. So like $4, $5, $6. When you do that, you get different things. Like you get different cool emotes on the chat board. Like right now, you've got all the on the YouTube ones. You've got all the ones that YouTube provide you. Twitch gives you extra ones, so you can do things like that. There are other things. I'm not extremely familiar with Twitch, the back end of it too much, but there are lots of different reasons why you'd want to be on Twitch versus YouTube Live.
Okay. Well, and I just quickly did the Google's search, and it came up to thegamer.com, and it blah, blah, blah. Quickly reading through, it says their gameplay up to 40 hours a week. The average salary they can make approximately $3,000 to $5,000 per month. And then they go ahead and list out the top 15. Obviously, I know some are making way more than that, and then there's an average in there. And it's just like a lot of people can make their livings off YouTube.
What was your dumb discussion about?
What had happened was...
And how were you wrong?
It wasn't really even a discussion. It was something that came across about live Twitch fails or something like that. And basically how some of these live people, like ourselves, but how they had gotten banned and what they gotten banned for. And hold on, do you want to guess what was the number one cause?
Nudity.
Yeah,
being topless. One of the things on Twitch is you cannot show nipple on Twitch, man or woman, because what was happening was
I have to contact my content provider.
I know. Otherwise, it's against their policy. Because what was going on early in the days of Twitch is, in order to get all these subs, you were seeing
subs is short for subscribers.
You were seeing all these 99.9% of them were women dressing very scantily clad and showing a lot of skin, if not too much skin, depending on who you want to ask. And so Twitch came up with these new guidelines that says, hey, no more of this. If you're showing X amount or whatever, I don't exactly the terms of service,
or triple X amount,
or triple X amount, nailed it. That they would ban you. And so my guess is that that's a majority of what they're being banned.
Yeah. So
for.
this quick video, it was primarily nudity or it would start with so and so, this top level person, streamer, Twitcher, got drunk, and then either racial slurs, nudity, or a combination of all of those things, and then was then permanently banned. And it was interesting because I don't know anything about the Twitch world, really. I mean, I have a very high level understanding of it. What has always just blown me away is when I think about our super chat, and I appreciate 10 cents or nothing. It doesn't matter. It's all bonus. We appreciate it. But then I think about the Twitch community and that some of these people are making their full-blown living, and a large part
Playing
of that
games?
Yeah, not just playing games. I'm fine. I guess I'll say I'm fine with that. It's the fact that these people are playing, and then all of a sudden someone super chats, and there's $500. I've seen crazy videos of like thousands of dollars.
There are. Usually it's not that
in.
much. Usually it's
Correct.
like
I know that's not the normal.
or 10 cents, or depending on what it is. I mean, you are subscribing to just like a lot of people. There's a lot of podcasts in disc golf, and people have specific time, and they spend it with personalities, people they enjoy listening to, people maybe that they don't enjoy listening to and get frustrated about. But that's more or less what Twitch is. There are, right now, you could probably go out and find 300 people or more, maybe 500 people, broadcasting Hearthstone, which is a card game that I sit and play on my phone when I'm bored. But there are people making thousands of dollars doing that, whether they're professional Hearthstone players that then stream on the side. That it would be the equivalent of Jeremy Colling having a podcast that he sits and does and talks about. And that's what these people do. And I had a hard time a while ago thinking, like, why are all these people watching people play video games? When they could be playing them themselves. But then you realize it's about personality. It's about interaction with a community. It's all that stuff. And I got over it, and I thought, guess what? When you say that, you sound hella old. I mean, it's the equivalent of watching, why do people watch someone play baseball? You could be out playing baseball yourself, kids. It's that type of thing. So
no, and esports, I know, is a growing community, and I'm not out to at all necessarily second guess any of the successes or the channel, the avenues, the revenues, any of that stuff. It's just seeing those numbers come in was more alarming than anything. I understand it's certainly
no different than a super chat.
Trevor, I think I actually packaged something up for you today. I think you had won something last week. He says, I've only watched one Twitch stream, and Dr. Disrespect made like $10,000 in about 35 minutes. So it's funny.
It really is. It's kind of ridiculous, and it's I don't know. I laugh because I see you and I both have young kids, and some of my son's friends have older siblings, and they're getting to the point where they're like 13, 12, 13, 14, and I sit and talk with them like, oh, hey, what's your goal, whatever, and they're like, oh, I want to do this on YouTube. Oh, I want to do this on Twitch. And I'm thinking, like, that's a rough life, man. That's like someone saying, I want to be a rapper. I want to be a musician. Like, yeah, you can go and try and do your best, and more power to you. But that is a grinding kind of life where you are, unless you are already famous for something, you are putting in 8 to 10 hours a day to build up your subscriber base and try to do that. And then on top of that, you have to be personable.
Well, and it's like anything else you want to be successful at. You're going to have to put in the time for it. I think I've said it before. It's funny to see this transition of people saying so often, oh, I want to be in the NBA. I want to be an NFL player, blah, blah, blah. Just see and hear the people now that say, I want to be a YouTuber or a Twitcher or YouTuber or whatever the case might be, a streamer of sorts. It's just it's a transition that we're seeing. It's crazy, and I think 8 to 10 hours is probably an understatement, depending on where you're what you're trying to do and how you're trying to establish
Jeff
yourself.
Strunk says 8 to 10 hours a day, kind of like what we all do. Yes, to a point,
but with more purpose and a little bit more diligence.
Correct. I mean, you're talking 8 to 10 hours. I can do 8 to 10 hours at my office, and of those 3, I'm brainless. I'm doing whatever I need to do in order. These are people that 8 to 10 hours on stream, communicating, all this stuff, and because you need to be personable, you need to have a personality, you need to
or a shtick of
an act,
sorts,
or a shtick of something. Like it's mentally draining. So, and I'm not saying anyone's particular job. I don't know what anyone does. There are people, I'm sure, that go through. It amazes me when I think of a doctor who goes through a 4-hour surgery, and that's a short surgery for some people. You hear about stories about 8 to 10-hour surgeries, and that's something you need to focus. Like, I sure as hell hope that whatever doctor I have, if he's going through whatever 10-hour surgery I have, that he's completely focused on me and not pulling out his camera and be like, hey, I'm here with John. He's getting something done. And
I'm about to tie up his intestine.
Yeah. So it's mentally draining. I get it. I've had communications with some streamers offline and talked to them, just, kind of professional type courtesy, and chatted with them. It's an interesting life. I'll say that.
Nathan Goodson's asked if I had seen Nate Sexton's mini, and I don't recall anything standing out to me about Nate Sexton's mini at Waco, so I think we may have to elaborate on that. Dad's Drunk says, I'm actually at work right now, so I have no room to talk. Snow Disc Golf says, or a catchphrase like, I'm the disc golf guy and this is my video blog. That's, believe it or not, that took a few minutes of coming up with. That
it's as clever
now it's
as
totally
that is.
ingrained in my head, and I have a hard time opening anything without, I was going to say uttering or stuttering that out, without saying that, though. Like, when we open a live Smashbox show at a tournament, like, that just has come so naturally to say when it's like, go. I have to really think about it. Although, I'll say this. I feel like I'm getting better at my openings at tournaments and not screwing up tournament names. I think I'm starting to hit a stride there.
Shout out to Wes Warren for the super chat, $4. We thank you.
Wes Warren, shout out, appreciate it. Dad's Drunk says, I'm an overnight audit manager for a financial company. A lot of paperwork. That sounds miserable to me, but good seeing you this weekend, Dad's Drunk. Luke says, there is an animated dog that streams and makes a ton of money.
I've honestly, and this, you might see this someday, Adobe, the program that is Photoshop and Premiere, what almost all of us do, they've got what's called a character generator, which more or less you have a little camera on you or somebody else, and they have these characters, and it's puppetry. So you could create 2 characters and then just show them instead of us. And I thought that would be funny one day because I've got we have a subscription to Adobe for all the other tools, Audition, which I use to edit the podcast audio, things like that. I thought that would be funny one day just to open the show and have 2 characters, cartoon characters, whether they're monsters or animals or whatever. And I thought that would be kind of funny, but I get it. I get it.
Sun King says, no one can open a broadcast better than Harry Carey. You're right. Hey, Mike Barnett of Sun King, I don't know if you're in a position or a time or a place or a location at right now to be able to actually join us, but we'd love to have you on. And if you could hop on Skype and wanted to kind of add anything else to the whole conversation from this weekend.
I don't know. It's going to get into like Cubs talk, I have a feeling, and that's going to make me uncomfortable.
I may or may not have an update come next Tuesday about Cubs talk, but I'm going to have to wait till Tuesday for that.
Cubs talk.
We're talking Cubs.
We're talking Cubs. Let's do our Patreon giveaway.
Let's do that. What we should do is get Mike on the show, see if we'll coerce him to being on, and then make him give away something for us from sunkingdisc.com.
Matthew Q asks, what's the next live stream date? It will be Jonesboro. So take a look at that. I think
week and a half-ish?
Yeah, week and a half. Are we broadcasting just Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Whenever the tournament is.
I was wrong. Yeah, whatever the day the tournament is.
It would
we'll be broadcasting.
So I will leave.
We'll have an update about that.
I believe it'll be
week.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday is Jonesboro
I think
open.
It is.
It is.
I think it is. So
it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Next week we'll have an interesting update about the broadcast and how it's going to go down, and it's a little different. We're going to be doing something a little different.
Different stuff. Smashbox exclusive update about exclusive Smashbox stuff later.
Yeah, that's what they call a teaser in the industry.
Oh.
All right. I need a number. I need someone on the chat board. Oh, actually, before we do that, no, give me a number on the chat board. I'm going to change up. Between 1 and 5. First one I see.
5.
I'll do the random generator. We'll hit that
we're waiting. The anticipation.
It's killing me.
My
it really truly is 6. That's not between 1 and 5. Nice try though, Jeremy. You can't fool me. 3. There it is. 3. Thanks, Alexis. All right, so I'm going to hit the random number generator 3 times. Here's what I do want to say. I'm so sick of answering this question on Facebook or on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
If
I know where you're going with this.
If the podcast is really long, like a 3.5-hour podcast.
What? That never happens.
That never happens. YouTube only usually shows the last 2 hours. And then it's processing everything else in the background. So for all you overseas guys who wake up in the morning and want to watch the Smashbox right away, and it seems like there's one every week that asks, how come it's only 2 hours long?
We want more. See, they want more.
I'm only getting the last 2 hours of your podcast. I'm missing the first hour. And the problem is that usually cuts in the middle of our interview. So people think that something was wrong. It's just YouTube processing. I have noticed that YouTube is taking longer to process the videos. And I don't know if that's because there's now a live chat feature. So if you're watching along on the video, you can actually watch the live chat as it goes as well. And that's a built-in service now. So I'm wondering if that's taking a little bit longer because some of the podcasts are taking almost 48 hours to do the full process on it. So a lot of times you're only getting, the last 2 hours, so to speak. So I'm sure now that I say this, everyone's going to be a funny guy and go out and post that. But maybe not tonight because we're on a shorter podcast. All right, so the number was 3. We're going to put this up here. We have 184 people. Stephen Adcock is the last one at 184. And I'm going to hit this generate button 3 times. And the third person is going to receive the disc member giveaway, the Prodigy package with Prodigy disc. I forget the driver, which one. I thought I want to say it's an H1, but I can't be sure about
Version 2.
Really?
I might be making that up, or Cameron, Cole Glazer, and Maddie Oram may have mentioned version 2s of things. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Don't believe what he says?
Nope.
If it switch shows, there's a beanie, there's all sorts of this. All right, so the first generate, second generate, third generate is number 55. We're going to scroll up to 55.
Holy cow, number 55. That would be a 6 under par at Throw Down the Mountain. Such a random
Will
fact.
Jenkins.
Will
Jenkins. Congratulations, Will Jenkins. I will get your information, and I will send that along to Disc Member. You can, if you're interested, guess what? This is a $50 package. What? If you're interested in getting one of these monthly, you can contact Disc Member, and it's like a $25 a month fee. And what they do is they send you a package every month worth $50. So you're making money, man. You're making money.
Oh my gosh, just printing it.
It's printing money, and it's it's one of the really cool things. I think you get to try out plastic that you might not normally get to try out, along with shirts and beanies and stickers and hats and all sorts of other things that they happen to send you any particular week. So that is discmember.com. I want to thank them for supporting the show as they have for the entire year so far, and hopefully as the year continues.
No, and just to clarify, I don't believe there's any relation to the Jenkins family with Will Jenkins. I know a few people are suggesting or saying that on the board, but I'm pretty sure there is not any relation to them. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got now that we've... Oh, give me a minute for Skype, Michael Barnett says. And we can have Skype on. Wow. We can have Mike on for a little bit. I know we talked a lot about Throw Down the Mountain, but the man behind the scenes or behind the spreadsheets and the cameras and the computers and all the other stuff that he's doing, we want to get a quick update from Mike himself. Again, he's worked so tirelessly. And this isn't obviously the only event. He does a ton of stuff down in Florida and travels around the country, representing a number of brands, and including Discraft. So I think it'd be great. Oh, he does. I think I'm going to see some more of them later this year, too. All right, Nathan says, please take a look at that Sexton's Mini next time you get a chance. I don't like where that's going. I'm too shy to ask him about it. I think you're making me too shy to ask about it, too. I don't know what you're talking about. But maybe there's a story there. Do you guys think Paul or Ricky will win, or are we up for DG history next weekend? I think one of the two will win. Utah Open says, I'm working on a project tonight and listening to you two in the background. It was great. Well, thank you.
Well, thanks.
Excited to come back out to Utah. In fact, I need to book a plane ticket to get out on the 25th.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think Paul or Ricky will win. I think it'll be one of those two at Jonesboro. simply because I think Paul's starting to get his mojo back. His putting is coming back. He's more confident.
It's that married life, bro.
And I think Ricky's gonna have something to prove, because it's been a while for Rickster.
Oh, Rick. All right. Do you see? Oh, sorry.
Yes, I do.
We will
Nailed it.
pull him.
By the way, for those of you that want a pick, I'm gonna do a Netflix pick. The TV show Nailed It.
Nailed it.
It's a cooking show where they take these really fancy baking things and they bring average people out to basically cook them and say, okay, you have 2.5 hours to make this beautiful wedding cake. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it don't turn out ever. And it's
spoiler, man.
it's a really fun, and it's not mean-spirited. These people are in on it, kind of. They know they're not the best cooks or bakers.
But does the wedding party know they're going to get a crap cake?
They're not. It's not for a wedding party.
Oh, okay.
The winner does get like $10,000.
Okay.
So, but it's really, I enjoyed it. I've watched 2 episodes so far. I laughed. The second episode, I laughed so hard. My wife was in tears. I was almost in tears. My eyes were welling up from laughing so hard at this woman's castle cake with Rapunzel, and to the point where I took the picture of the cake. I went to Netflix and I took a picture of it and I made it as my wife's background, so that every time she opens up her phone, she sees it and laughs. Sun King Discs, you need to answer your Skype.
I just told him. Yep. My niece has been watching that one episode last week. She had chocolate lips, and the contestant ones were hilariously bad.
Yes, it is. It's so funny. It is. Yeah, the Max Garcia's scary cake. It was the picture on my wife's phone is a picture of that Rapunzel up close. So it is. It's so funny. Just take some time and watch it, and you'll get, I guarantee you, a laugh or two.
All right. Well, looks like in our digital green room, we should have available none other than Mr. Michael Barnett of Sun King Discs. How we doing tonight, buddy?
Hey guys, what's up?
Not much. You're upright. You're not napping or sleeping or in a coma of any sort, so I think that's a good sign.
Oh my gosh, I mean, I'm ready.
Throw down the
That's
Mountain
for sure.
7 next week.
Yeah.
No.
It's funny because I think a lot of people, you're very observant about the work that goes into the event, but there's a lot of work after the event. It takes us over 2 days to tear down the course. So we've been doing that the last couple of days. Don't tell Big Dog. I'm trying to get my TV report in. I think the cutoff's tomorrow. So, yeah, exactly.
So one question that immediately comes to mind, and I mentioned it's private property. You're essentially leasing or renting it very graciously for the time span that you're out there, and I know there's a significant cost that goes along with that. Is it conceivable to maybe mount sleeves even so that you don't have to put out portables and level those every year?
Yeah,
I'm not volunteering my time.
Yeah. No, what's that?
I'm not volunteering my time. I'm just asking.
Okay. No, it would be absolutely. I think the problem comes in with the amount of changes we go through every year. We're just constantly editing the course for various reasons, either a better hole or more flow to the course. We're always trying to, and I think we're going to solve some of that. If we go to 3 weekends next year, I think we solve a lot of that. We're not necessarily going to add another 200 people to the whole mix. We would add a 3rd weekend and actually cut the amount of players each weekend. So we're opening a weekend, but cutting. So we're adding a little bit, but it really comes out to when you look at that landscape and you look at the entire project, people forget my first and foremost goal is to design that course for a tournament, straight forward. It's not to have the most craziest, most unique course out there. It's the one that we can play a tournament on in, well, in this case, 5.5 hours the other night. So, we're trying to get everybody in there, and I think by going to 3 weekends, we can solve some of that. But yeah, there is some of that. We've thought about that. Can we just put in a more of a long-term strategy, more infrastructure, for crying out loud? That barn's falling apart over there too. We'll see. We'll see what happens with everything. But we might have an upgrade to baskets next year too. So I'll throw that out for SmashBoxx exclusive there. So yeah.
Possibly some the new Chain Stars is maybe what I'd guess.
Yeah, the new Pro is definitely, it's been talked about for so long. We've done pretty well with the Chain Stars, despite the public opinion. It's you just got to putt different on those baskets. That's all it is. If you can't adapt your putt, you're probably not a top pro. So
well, I'll follow that by saying, I obviously watched 3 full rounds of golf. I saw lots of different putting styles, firm and fast and hard by a Jamie Mosier, to a totally different style by a Kelvin and a Paul McBeth, who's in between the two of those, for instance. Austin Turner, who is a relatively fierce, lefty putter, lefty hyzer, so I think that matters. I saw a lot of different putting styles. I did not see one putt this weekend with 3 sets of 5-sums or 3 rounds of 5-sums over 54 holes. I don't think I saw a single putt that should have stayed in that didn't. Now that I think about it, I know I heard Charlie Goodpasture possibly whining about one, which I don't even honestly recall. But other than
Chuckles?
Yeah, I know. But I honestly, I don't recall a single putt that absolutely should have stayed in that didn't. And so,
and the funny thing, if you really think about it, when you think of the course, and I know not everybody's familiar with the course, but the different angles you have to come in on these greens to the target, to the basket, a lot of elevated situations where you're putting upwards. And I agree. I saw a couple putts fall out, but they were on the am side, or whatever you want to call it. It was definitely not a clean throw, and I thought they handled really well, especially the fact that it's a portable too. I mean, it's sitting on a wheelbase. We literally on, I would say, a third of the course, we have to go in there and actually prep the area just to put the basket on a flat ground. So it's a lot of work just to get those to get that ring to float around the pole, and make sure they're balanced as much as they can be. So
yeah, and I those are things that the players and myself, take notice of. The prep work to get those to mount flat, like you're saying, so baskets aren't leaning. There's a ton of effort that goes into it with leveling both the ground and or things that you need to get them level. And I certainly noticed it. Everything looked really, really good this weekend. So
thank you, buddy.
Dare I say, you just said 3, and I know that was kind of a rumor floating around. You've considered the concept of spreading this from 2 weekends now out to 3 different weekends. Would you kind of go rec and rec and am, and then maybe an advanced weekend, and then finally a pro weekend? Is that kind of the logic?
Yeah, that's the logic. We, even with the 2 weekends with 200, and we had a few drops. Weekend 1, we ended up with 191 or something like that. But then, weekend 2, the pro advanced weekend, had 207. So we're 3. That's where we get our 399. I think number I gave you earlier, or maybe I guess it was 192, maybe the first one. But anyway. Yeah, well, we had 80 people on the wait list at one point. This isn't just 80 people that said, "Hey, dude, I love this. I heard about this. I want to be in." It was 80 people that paid the full entry fee to be on the wait list, because I don't do the little, $5, $10 just to get on the wait list. We do the full entry fee, just for simply it's a internal. It's an extra transaction if you don't do that. And I don't have time for an extra transaction on top of everything else. But 80 people, if you really think about it, we're 20 short of half another weekend. And those are just the people that we put on the wait list, that got on the wait list. So if we can take those 80 people, get them in, if that allows, you mentioned it earlier, a lot of people travel from out of town. We can get those folks, some additional people in. The reality of the situation is it's the same amount of work to build the course. So if we can accommodate more, if we can bring in more, if we can, treat more people to the amazing views. And, it's funny. I heard Paul earlier mention the grass being completely level around the whole, course. It is. It's amazing how that happens out. It's a combination of the old quarry stone base and then the low level of grass, but it's super consistent all the way around. But if we can bring people out to experience that for themselves and get that view off 16 that looks, on a clear day, probably 20 miles west, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a mountain in Florida and it's not Colorado, but, we're real happy with it. I mean, Paul's already kind of talked about what I think a lot of people have known over the years is this property is just, once you take that little jaunt out of the parking lot and look over the cliff and go, oh, I guess this is for real, But we want to get as many people in. It's an exciting time. I love the interaction. I love having a canvas to work with every year to kind of tweak and the work crew. My God, I mean, seriously. I know when you asked me earlier today about total man hours, wow, I don't even know. I think your host Dwayne Reeder's got a couple hundred in there. So we're real blessed with having some amazing property, and we just want as many people as possible to come check it out.
Well, not that I want to push you out or anything, but I told McBeth, like, why don't you just write a check for this place tomorrow? I mean, it'd be that easy. Just, make it the McBeth South property or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know a guy that'll run the tournament.
Exactly. So. Perfect. You're in Florida. Do you know any updates that we couldn't speak of regarding the man who turns 50 today, the champ? Kenny Climo. Do you know anything?
How about it? Yeah, no, I don't. I heard just about as much as you did. I heard he is doing better, and the truth is Tuesday is poker night, so I do know that for a fact. But no, I've heard he's doing better. I actually had to reach out to him for something a few weeks ago, and sounded like everything was okay, and little text chat that I had with him, but I would love to see him back at Throwdown. I mean, if I'm going to try and frame this right, last year there were some tweaks to the qualifications at USDGC. Our event has been a USDGC qualifier the last couple of years, and Kenny had to requalify, and he showed up. There was rumors that he might not make it because he was injured, and he showed up. Quietly. I literally didn't even know he was there until I walked up on the tee time, and I was like, is Kenny here? And hole one starter Tim Willis was like, yeah, he's here. And I was like, oh, Kenny. I saw him sitting over there by the big oak tree, and went up to him, and he's like, yeah, just talking about his health, his back, and he's like, I haven't thrown a disc in 5 months. And he literally walked onto the course last year without throwing a disc in 5 months, and snagged the last USDGC spot. So I thought that was pretty amazing. I think it was 7th place. Him and maybe Charlie Goodpasture maybe tied for 7th without looking at the big board. I know Johnny's probably already looking that up right now.
Nope.
He's not. It's too late. I knew it. But anyway, no, I mean, I'd love to have Kenny back, Johnny also won the event. Love to have him back. I know he's real big on it. You mentioned, Jen talked about it, same thing here, and they definitely want to be back. But, the Florida folks really, I think, would appreciate seeing him out there. And he's got to go through his little healing process. I mean, There's no doubt that Ken has played some top level golf for a long time, and I'm going to guess that similar to Tiger in the sense where you're putting lots of torque and strain on your body for long periods of time. And I'm just going to guess that could have had an effect, but he did it right. There's without any question, he dialed it in for a long period of time. So
I'd love to see him come and take the Grand Masters division at Worlds. Take down Grand Masters, get that Open Masters, Grand Masters champion, the trifecta.
Ooh, first to do it, right?
I believe so.
Dave Greenwell hasn't done that?
All three?
I don't think Greenwell.
No Open title, right?
Greenwell never won.
He never won an
Open Worlds.
title?
No, he never won Open Worlds.
Yeah.
Surprises me.
That didn't exist back
Sorry,
then.
Dave.
I'm just kidding. That's an old man joke.
All right, so we won't keep you too long, but I do want to talk about where you've been really busy. You've been transitioning your entire storefront, everything you're doing. Where, if people come to Florida, where can they find you? What do you have going on? What's at the new locale, and where can they find you?
Yeah, I really wish you would have had some chance to get over here. I was going to bug you, but I knew you were on a short leash with time. We had an amazing opportunity. We were down in Sarasota since I think 2009 or 10. I'm riding up on 50 myself, so the memory gets a little short. But we were down comfortably in Sarasota. Loved it down there. A lot of Midwest folks, a lot of Cubs fans, Johnny. A lot of Cubs fans. So we had an opportunity. A guy reached out to me. I was leaving for the Ledgestone trip last summer. And, just kind of reached out and said, hey, I'm interested in putting a course in, and Terry, you've been around this block a long time and people kicking tires, if you will. But after a couple of phone calls, this guy was pretty serious. I could tell, and by the questions he was asking me and his concerns and what he was looking for. So I decided to pay him a visit after that trip and walked into a situation that had a deli, a 2,500 square foot building, which was what I had in Sarasota, but was all retail. Actually, you can see it behind me a little bit. It's just really, really
awesome.
nice. Well, we put those shelves in, but it just came down to the perfect situation. There were 2 homes available on the property, so I grabbed one. The fella, Chris O'Donnell, who works for me, grabbed the other one. We both live on a disc golf course now. We also have a clubhouse that has seating for 130. It has a bar. It has a dance floor. It has a stage. We have a buffet area. I think if you really talk to disc golfers, and after a certain time, everybody wants to have their own course, right? I want to have my own course. Get my own 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 acres, whatever it is. And we just happened to come into a guy that wanted to put disc golf on his property and ran into somebody like myself who had been looking the better part of 10 years to have something similar. And we got a nice little marriage going here. We've got the course is still, it's in the ground. They were out putting shrubs and flowers in. We've got the ladies event coming up in May. The Women's Global event, we'll be hosting that here. So the owner here, the property owner, he was out shopping for plants and trying to get it all prepped for the ladies here in the next 6 weeks when they get here, or maybe 8 weeks, whatever it is now. But it's really something to behold. We have 4 other course projects in the area, immediate area, in the works, all different levels. We're a hotbed right now, and unfortunately for the rest of Florida, somehow we got all the topography. It's all in our area. All the hills and little mountains and ridges and everything is from kind of where we're at north and a little east and west along the coast and a little inland. But all of the projects I'm working on are going to have some type of elevation, which is unique for Florida. We can't wait to keep this thing moving forward a little bit and showing off our new courses here over the next couple of years.
And
and the answer is Hudson, Florida.
yeah, I was just gonna say. So if people were making their way to Florida, whether it's next week or in the next year or month or whenever, where exactly? Where should they put the pin down on the map?
Yeah, it's Hudson, Florida. The course is called Sunset Ridge. We are, I think, right about a mile from the Gulf of Mexico. So the sunset's always nice and pretty over here. And we actually have a nice ridge that runs right through the middle of the property, about 10 to 12 feet. So we have some basket locations up there, some tee locations. But yeah, Hudson, Florida, due north of Clearwater, due west of Orlando.
And how far from the Grand Canyon where we just were?
30, 35 minutes. You run into a little traffic, maybe 40 minutes. You literally have to drive from one end of the county to the other. So, but yeah, not a bad John. The last 5 years, I was 100 miles each way, to the Sarasota location. So it's a little bit shorter, a little bit more convenient. But it was nice too, because we saw an awful lot of people coming in for Throwdown to come over and play the new course. In fact, those boys from Illinois were here yesterday. Al and Steve and Tom and Tafe and his little buddy Brian, they're all over here kicking it around. So had a good time.
Are you going to keep them down there for a while?
Oh, I already gave them the boot.
Okay.
They're back up.
The further they are from Wisconsin, the better.
All right. So the final one before I let you go will be, what have you transitioned from a maybe to a definite on this whole late October event back at the Grand Canyon? And if so, where does that stand and what's your plan?
Yeah, I mean, I heard Paul earlier, and I totally understand that concern. If you want to really, I think I learned some of that in a little event right actually behind my shoulder there. Right? Oh, am I going the wrong way?
Yeah, your SmashBoxx.
The Pro Tour.
That looks good.
Oh, there's you guys. But you see that Players Cup poster up there on the wall?
Right over your right shoulder.
Late November. And we just never garnered what we thought we would get. We were playing that post USDGC card as well, and it was tough. It was tough to get people down. I know we had, if you go look at those lineups, we had the who's who, but 10,000 for first place didn't hurt either back then. So we're gonna try it. I'm definitely, we've got the green light from the property owner. We can get the permit. That's not a problem from the county. It's a matter of finding a sponsor, and I've been in talks with Discraft about just continuing what they're already doing out there. But nothing's definite yet. We've been looking to do a second weekend out there for, if no other reason, originally I wanted to do a big doubles event out there, which would be really cool. We could do a variety of different formats. I mean, we could do anything out there. But what I really wanted to do was have an opportunity to put together a gold course and showcase it. And we've been tinkering. Paul mentioned it a few times tonight, but hole 7, that took us a couple years to really get that sawgrass cut back to where it was a fair landing area. I know you saw it, and it was still a little hairy, left or right. It didn't really matter. You just really had to place that shot in the center of the fairway to get that turnover to the green. But 13 to 14, it's funny, when we went up there, and that's the one where we're playing to the wrong basket. It's amazing because as soon as we got up there and we cleared it and we could see 14's green, it was the first thing we said was, oh boy, that's even a better, longer hole. So if it wasn't for the fact that we had to then come up with another hole to make up for the one we lost, but we want to put some of that stuff into play. I was out looking at a new blue tee for hole 7, believe it or not, and also some other, possibly a replacement if we cut or take 13 into 14. But I'm pretty serious about it. I mean, why wouldn't anybody else want to be out there again?
I think there's room for an event, maybe not so close after in October after the all finishes, but if you pulled up an event like late December, early January, I think, and had, obviously you're going to need added cash, a good course, whatever else is going to bring the pros, we'll say, out of hibernation. I think there's room for that. I think you could see the players get together for something like that. I just think that having it, like we were saying, right after that draining swing is going to be, it's going to be tougher, and I think you're going to see a little bit of people tail off. But like Paul said, if it's there and he's there, he'll be there.
Yeah, it's a legitimate concern, and I'm glad I'm hearing it now. I mean, there's things we can do. I think if you looked at a December, January, I think the only problem with that is that I'm back there in March, and it's, we're never really getting a break. I mean, at least we got a couple more months.
I understand, yeah.
Here, but and I think the biggest thing to really consider is we'd only do one weekend. I'm not going to stretch it out like we want to do for Throwdown. We just want to showcase as I've dubbed it, the monster on the mountain. Just bring that course out for the pros and some advanced players. But that's it's all. Yeah, I mean, no. Is it
It'll all get
my
figured
opening
out.
registration tomorrow? No. Do I want to? Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's anytime we can get a chance to show off that property, I think it's a good thing.
Well,
I just looked at we've had some conflict. The Throwdown the Mountain, I'm trying to remember exactly the schedule, but we've definitely conflicted with Pro Tour the last couple of years, and out of nowhere, even before that, the World Tour I remember made some random announcement, like caught everybody off guard and was like, oh yeah, right after Memorial, I think it was, they did that event at De La Viega, if I'm not mistaken, and really jumped all over our weekend. I mean, we were already set up, we were already in the books, and they just made the announcement, kept everybody out west, and I was like, man, what else do I got to do to kind of fit in between and fit in the schedule? It's a tough time. I know Paul's, talked about tonight just bringing that schedule a little later in the season, but for Florida, we get too hot too fast. We're April and May. We were in 80 degrees, Terry, when you were here. So,
yeah. And to be fair, we have so many events now that I don't think you can compress the tour any tighter than it is without saying that every other weekend is going to be, well, we'll just say Pro Tour or National Tour. Then you're leaving no room for, we'll say, filler events. March, early March to October now, and there's a big event going on almost every weekend.
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to kind of wrap it up with and say, maybe even at that point, it's fair to say that if you don't get the big names at say the end of October, you go with that date, you clearly have the reputation of that property and of running good events that maybe you don't have all the biggest names there. You're still going to sell out probably in minutes. And a lot of Florida locals or people on the board that have said, I wish I could have played. It sold out too quickly or whatever. You're going to have plenty of opportunity for the others that are going to appreciate it, and selling out is still selling out. You just may not have quite the star power.
And let me be forward with that. I mean, getting the big names is bonus.
Exactly.
I mean, that's icing on the cake for us. I mean, we know what we have. I knew when I approached the landowner about reviving the concept of disc golf out there, I knew what it was about, So I just think that it was more opportunistic, like, oh my gosh, look, they're already going to be here. And like, why wouldn't we want to showcase this to all of those pros that aren't coming on a regular basis or haven't come at all? And, that's kind of the logic behind it, I think. But it's a absolutely valid consideration that, it's burnout factor. And USDGC is, arguably the best, biggest event. And yeah, it is. It's a lot. I mean, I get that. And Pro Tour, last year I was there. I was in Jacksonville. It was, it definitely felt a little, like people had exhaled a little bit. Maybe the format too, just being what it was, people being eliminated so quick off, by Thursday, Friday, had something to do with, by the time people were rolling around Saturday, Sunday, the spectators. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I just, I made kind of how would I say it? A few years ago, and it's been more than a few years, but I wanted Sun King to concentrate on memorable events. And it's not saying that we don't do C tiers or we don't do, ace races or some of these other manufacturer events, but we wanted to really focus on bigger, better events, and Throw Down the Mountain is one of those. Monster on the Mountain is, as I've dubbed it, could be another one. Obviously, we got the disc golf cruise and some other things we've done in the past, but I'm really trying to create experiences for a lot of these people, and without question, 99% of the people are incredibly grateful and love it out there. If they would just pick up those cigarette butts a little bit more often, I'd be so happy. But no, overall, we're really happy, and we hope it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. So if I get an opportunity just to run if nothing else, it gets me kind of a dry run on a bigger layout for Pro Weekend for Throw Down the Mountain.
Exactly. So, and I was just going to finish that and say, at least if you're doing some work out there then, and you have a few work days or whatever, that's probably cuts into the amount of prep that has to take place in March, and it kind of helps spread out that workload and keeps you up to speed a little bit more out there. And I figured that would be a huge advantage as well. So.
Yeah, and I have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, come on, you're just like sitting around cashing disc golf checks. That's all you do.
Oh man, yeah, stacks, baby, stacks.
Fat stacks. All right, Mike. Yeah. Well, we're gonna let you get some rest and get some sleep, and then with all that check cashing you have to do tomorrow, probably.
Oh yeah,
it tires you out. But on a serious note, again, thank you for having me down there. Like you said, it creates an experience. The Throw Down the Mountain is a great event, but it also creates this experience and this atmosphere and this camaraderie that I've become very spoiled by and accustomed to being at and enjoying it, and meeting people like the readers and hanging out there for the weekend and meeting new people like Jeff and Hannah this year, and just so many gracious and fun-loving and kind people. It's a special place, and I appreciate you keeping me involved year after year. So we appreciate it.
I mean, we've always had that relationship, that kind of Midwest connection, and love having you down, Johnny. Maybe someday you can roll down here and
Masters champ next year. I'll film him.
Hey, it's spring break down here. There's a good reason right there. If you roll down here, bro.
It's nothing creepier than a 40-year-old dude hanging out at spring break.
You'll be 41 by then next year.
Been bringing your family down, you jackalope.
Oh yeah, that's what he meant.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Mike. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks for giving us filling in all the other details we missed out on with McBeth, but we appreciate it. We always love talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you out on the road a few other places this year, buddy.
Yeah, I love you guys. Keep in the fairway and no wheelies out there, all right?
All right, buddy.
None.
Nice
appreciate
and
it.
safe.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks.
See ya.
All right. Again, Mike Barnett of Sun King Discs. And a quick update from your other champion, Madison Walker. She says she's in no position to call into the show. She followed up with me, said, "Sorry, I'm not going to make it." I said, "No worries. I told you not to worry about it. We'll get you another time." And I'll paraphrase and say she's not in a position to join us publicly on the show.
To me, that sounds like the most fun we could have, is if we forced her to join the show.
Well, we'll let it go tonight. So no Madison. Although it would probably make for some good after show entertainment. But instead, let's move on. What, you have you have a pick or something that you want to
No.
share with the world? No? Okay.
No, I already did my pick.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I told you the Netflix series nailed it.
That's right. Okay. Well, I think that everybody's saying, sounds like the best time to have her on, and please convince her to join the show. No, I think that will be good and plenty. And I don't mean the candy. What it was great night catching up with Paul, and of course catching up with Mike. And
I was gonna say next time we catch up with Mike, we'll have to ask him about the disc golf cruise.
We will. I know. Again, I know that was a tremendous effort. I know. I spoke with Nate Doss about it a little bit. You know what him and Val and of course Jay and Des had to put into it, and then along with Mike and his crew, and again with his transitioning to a new house and a new location, he's had a really, really busy couple of months. So I give him a lot of credit. Every time I saw him this weekend, cool, calm, and collected. I would have been ready to rip some heads off by now, probably, if I were him. So I very much appreciate everything that he's doing and working on. It was pretty awesome. So, we'll call it. It's been a great night. It's been fun talking to all you guys. Thank you guys so much. Someone did want to know earlier, a good friend of ours, wanted to know how come, he didn't say why does the YouTube take a little longer to come out, although he did actually ask that, and I clarified. And then he said, how come it doesn't show up in my podcast feed right away? He says, does Johnny take a long time to put that out? I said, no, he does it every night. If you are a Patreon supporter and you want the podcast, essentially, does it come out in the morning or does it come out tonight?
It comes out tonight.
Okay, so essentially,
it's usually just shy of a half hour after the show.
The second the show is done, you edit the podcast. Well, you don't really edit it. You just basically push out the podcast in all the regular podcast apps, iTunes and Google and wherever else, those other places, and it becomes available instantly to any Patreon supporter of any level. So you get a separate, secretive feed that gives you the podcast access early. Otherwise, they release on Thursdays and on Saturdays for the after show. So in case anyone was confused about that, of course, you can always come here to YouTube. And if you want to digest it that way or speed it up or download it or do whatever you want through the YouTubes, you can. But some people want to know why doesn't it show up in my podcast app instantly? And Johnny, as a special little kickback to our Patreon supporters, you get it yet tonight. So in case anybody was wondering that's how that works. Otherwise, you wait till Thursday and you wait till Saturday.
That's how it works.
The benefits of Patreon support. We appreciate it. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you for Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smash Box.